Create social media ads with Fiverr. You'll need your brand manager, copywriter, and Zena, a
Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome to Pink Panda stream for a Thursday night. So I hope everyone is doing well. If that music in the background's too loud, let us know. But hopefully it's all okay. Appreciate everyone joining. First and foremost, I do want to say a huge thank you to everyone who tuned in last night. Appreciate everyone's patience and sending through the comments, the follows and everything, and getting right behind the stream. It's much appreciated. I was just happy to be able to bring some action to you guys, because I know everyone has been hanging out for the next AFL game for quite some time. So like I said, I'm just a footy nuffy like everyone else in here, so it's the least I could do, and I hope people got some stuff out of it. But I'm keen to go back over some of the VOD tonight, enter some more questions that I didn't get to. It was kind of hard to read the chat on the phone. You can imagine it was flicking up at a rapid speed, so it was hard to keep up with it. And obviously when playing, I was kind of focused on the playing side of things. So happy to try and answer as many questions as I can from last night. And there's also some huge news today as well that's come out from Big Ann about the game surrounding, I suppose, player stats, what type of game we were playing last night, and also Ultimate Team, which I know everyone has been asking about. I saw a lot of comments flying through on Ultimate Team, so we do have an answer of sorts on that, and I think it's one you're going to like, which we will get to soon though. But yeah, footy's on at the moment. Cats are getting done, are they? I did say that game is going to be a lot closer than people think after how well Carlton defended against us. Why don't you want Ultimate Team, Zachary? I think having any type of mode, whether it's an Ultimate Team or a Pro Club variant, something like that, is absolutely the next best thing we could hope for. So, yeah, if you've got any questions, start firing away, and I'll flick the VOD on in a sec as well. I can let that play in the background. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll play the video in the background, and we'll just let it play, and then you can just ask questions on the way. I'll pause this other music. Don't need that. Don't off it.
There we are.
How's the kicking power? Yeah, the kicking power was an interesting one, because it's one I probably felt like I got wrong a few times in goal kicking. Turn this down, okay. Is that better? Sorry. Yeah, I felt like I was probably nervous to push the kicking bar to the edge, but you will see in the last game that I played against the Big Ant developer, he was actually able to get the kicking meter for set shots anyway, right up to that top point. So he was probably able to kick it further than I was. But the power then correlates. Oh, is the gameplay still too loud? Let us know. The power then correlates to the timing. So I actually found the second meter was the harder one to get to control, because that little shade of blue in the top area for the set shot, which we'll see soon, you can easily overdo that, and then the ball kicks as a floater, and you're likely to score a point or kick it short or out in the full or something like that. So I think having the two-step process for the set shots, I think it's been a really, really good inclusion. I can't fully remember what we had on the last one, but I think it was always one step. You got to obviously aim for the wind and things like that. But it definitely felt a lot more difficult to score a goal. So from a set shot anyway, and you've got to keep in mind that we were playing on easy, so everything, you could pretty much spam buttons to mark and all that kind of stuff. It was all set to very easy. I don't know the team. I know what you mean, Zachary, but I think from what I'll show you soon, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. I didn't end up using Geelong to play. I did see a few people using Geelong playing, but I don't think I caught any footage of Myers kicking, but I'm sure there was other people out there who did though, so I'll try and find that. The kicking around the ground, you can definitely overcook it. So you can see there that I put one out in the full, and that was just because I held X for far too long. So there is a kick modifier like we've had in other games where you can do a stab pass and things like that. I just wasn't using it. So in this first game, I had not read the instructions on how to play. I wasn't really expecting to play that early, to be honest. So I was kind of a little bit caught off guard, and I was using the wrong buttons for most of the time. No, not at all supporter. There was two people playing before me. I'm a Richmond supporter, but there was two people playing before me with Kangaroos and Hawks, and I just sort of sat in to take over, which was good. I was happy to play whatever. Thomas, we'll get to that soon. The play career mode, we'll definitely get to that. Don't argue. There's some rippers on there. There's some rippers. How's the movement of the plays that you weren't controlling? Did they run to space well? Some did, some didn't. There's footage I'll show later from a game I played as Carlton, albeit I was only using half the control. But there was a bit of play where I was able to get the ball sort of from a quick turnover, and I had loose players on the outside of the ground. So I thought that was kind of cool that I wasn't sort of instantly manned up all over the ground. So that wasn't too bad. G'day, BGR Media. How's it going? Welcome. Yeah, Zachary, I'm okay with that, with the fans cheering after the goal and things like that. There's a couple of things to remember when watching this gameplay. One, obviously, you're watching it through a phone, so the quality of the graphics that we had, looking at it like this through the phone doesn't do it justice. And I knew it was never going to, and that's why I wanted to make sure I heavily stipulated that I was using a mobile phone to see it. The other thing I'll say, which is something we learnt today, a little bit of it is piecing the puzzle together here, but the dev kit we were using, if we're to go by, so when we're talking about player stats, the last stats that Big Ant have been using in their up-to-date live models was from October 2022. So the assumption at the moment, and we haven't kind of been told otherwise, and I've spoken to a few other people who are in the gaming kind of industry, and we're essentially, the dev kit we played last night is essentially 4, 5, 6 months old. So a lot of shit's happened between then and now. So this is nowhere near the finished product. So that's why I think maybe the people in the crowd don't react how you think, or the players around the stoppages maybe don't move how you think, because the way it was explained to me that, yes, they've got an almost complete version right here, right now, but they can't just, because they're only going to show us just the gameplay mode, they can't just grab a piece of that and drop it into a dev kit and away you go. It's not as simple as that, because if you do that, the rest of the thing falls over. So what someone was telling me, who not from Big Ant, just someone who's in gaming development elsewhere, today, was that basically this type of demo mode or a dev console would have been built a long way out, with the basics in there, that it's functional, but it won't have all the bells and whistles and not all the polish. So, and that was really interesting to hear. So I knew we weren't playing the latest game when we were doing it, but I didn't really know how old it may have been. So to hear that this could be 5 or 6 months out, I think is a really, really good sign, because the things that were looked a little bit wrong in here, I feel like were easy fixes. And when talking to the devs on the night, they were all across it. So it felt like that they had already identified the issues that we're all seeing here on a 5-month-old potentially dev kit, and they've already addressed it in as far as I could tell. Kieran, I didn't notice that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Did like I said, the dev kit this old, they were kind of just getting it to a playable mode, and just sort of taking it from there. So power modifiers, I might have. I say that because the whole modifying aspect of the game with those buttons, I really didn't use or explore, partially because I was trying to get my head around the basics still and try and do them properly. I suppose I was a little bit conscious of trying to, this will sound really stupid, but put on a good show and try and get some cleanliness in gameplay. So I do want to acknowledge that the gameplay may look worse than what it is because of me, and if I'm playing against someone else who's playing it for the first time, you've got two people together who don't know what they're doing, so that could compound it. So keep that in mind. So I apologise. I thought it was still fun though. Person excited it was on the dev kit. I'm just scrolling up through that chat here. Kangas are on a roll. 100% BGL. The frame rate was still smooth, and like I said, this doesn't do it justice. You can see the graininess through the phone, and I couldn't do anything about that really. But looking at it in person, it was crisp, it was clean, and I don't care what anyone thinks. And I mean no disrespect by it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, and that's okay. But I would sit here comfortably saying that the graphics we've got here, even on a dev kit that may be 4 or 5 months old, still is better than anything we've ever had on an AFL game before. And that's a no-brainer. I would go through this. We're going to do the snapshot here. So the snapshot, sorry to change text so quickly. You've got, I'll pause it. Oh, no, I won't. So for the snapshot, which we just saw there, I think I'll rewind it 10 seconds. When you take a mark and push circle to load up your kicking for goal, you can use the directional pad. So I think left was for snapshot, the right button was for banana if you're on the other side, and then it changes the stance. But as you can see from the target lining up in the goal, I didn't actually move my aim out to the right at all to factor for the ball swinging in. So that's why I missed. But it's pretty cool how it changes the angle like that. How's the kicking around the ground? The kicking around the ground was okay. I found, Robbo, that I probably overcooked a couple of kicks. I didn't really use the torps. Similar to previous AFL versions, that you'll see there's a little circle around the next player up the ground. You can kind of flick the right analog stick to change that, and that kind of locks onto the player, so you can pass to him. So that's how you can do that. I think I'm trying another snapshot. I've angled it out a bit wider. Still missed. I was probably a bit too far out, to be fair. Camera angle. There are multiple camera angles. We only had this camera angle available to us. We couldn't change it. I don't mind it. I typically struggle with the end-to-end stuff. The only game I can really do it in is 2K. I find the swinging camera sort of messes with me a little bit. But as you would have heard the devs say on the stream, that it's very much a personal choice. Even them in the office, they can't all land on the same camera angle. It's just so personal preference. But there are options. It just wasn't on the dev kit. That's all. Welcome. First time in the chat, welcome. How did you find holding the ball upwards to get a handball off? That was one of my favourite parts of the game, to be honest. Not just that, but you'll see a few times when you get tackled to the ground, and to be honest, I think the tackling mechanisms were a little bit off in this because you didn't go to ground all the time and there were some free kicks not paid and so on. That's okay. But when you did get tackled to ground, if you timed it well enough, you could actually still get a handball out, or you could be laying on your back and get a quick kick out, and the ball would just trickle out 5 meters from the contest. And that would, that kind of helped keep the game flowing. So if the probability of those little quick releases happen more often, I think you'll find that, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. I think you'll find that the game will flow more if those little kicks will start, it'll open the game up. So at some stages, it did feel like a tackle fest, but not unlike what we've had before, and it's not unlike real AFL in some aspects, is it? Like it's a heavily contested game, but I think that the key to it is going to be that hitting that square button or X button to get a kick out when being tackled onto the ground or getting the arms up. I think that's going to be the trick to keeping it flowing. Thank you, Kano, for your work there, mates. Much appreciated. Yeah, any follows is greatly appreciated. Did I see any of the Essendon plays and how they looked? Yep, if you hang around Zachary long enough, I did go to the player, I suppose, not the creation center, but the team management section, and brought up Sam Draper and showed a shot of Sammy Draper. So I'll make sure we'll get to that a bit later as well. But if I'm being totally honest, when I was going through the players on that team management list, I thought the motion capture shots were incredible. I thought they had a lot of likeness. I don't know what everyone else thought, but I thought they were pretty good. Difference in the quality of teams, even those ratings went final. That's a hard one because I think a lot of that came down to the user's own ability. I don't think I played for long enough, or I wasn't competent enough to possibly understand the difference between, or notice the difference between the quality in teams. And I think a lot of the games that we played, or that I played, were very similar rankings based on the numbers they were using anyway. But yeah, it was a tough one to tell. But I think that's more a user issue than anything else. It does bounce around a little bit. I reckon the earlier AFL games had a lot more sharper bounces from what I saw. It does bobble, it does bounce, and to be fair, I reckon the bounce of a Sharon would be the hardest thing to program into a game because of its unpredictability. Like a soccer ball only goes one way. Rugby ball typically doesn't hit the ground. So given how much that features in our game, it's a hard one to do. And yeah, it didn't feel overpowered. It didn't feel unrealistic or complete garbage. It felt fine. Playing from the mark seemed to be a lot quicker and smoother than Evo 2. I did try and take off from the mark a couple of times, bang. And it did feel quicker, so I don't know if there was a burst of speed at all that's generated for that. I'm just going to pause on this and I'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, it felt like you could, if you went wide enough, you could get into space and get a kick away. And I don't know how much the stand rule plays a part in that, because that is in the game. You can't turn it off. So I don't know. Look, I don't know how much of it was the stand rule, how much of it was a sprint speed attribute, or the reaction time of the person on the mark. So there could have been a few factors in play that kind of, work into a final result. But it still felt good to be able to, as you see on TV, someone marks it, dart off to the side, and you could get a kick away, right? But if you kept it too narrow, I found that if you kept it too narrow, the radius in which you can hit tackle and they lunge and grab you wasn't large, but it was noticeable. So you got to make sure you go wide. I feel like Evo wouldn't make your player run backwards. And look, there was a couple of times, even rewatching it today, bang, there was a couple of times where it looked a little bit clunky, like I couldn't get back off the mark, like someone was blocking it. There was two people on the mark against Dusty at one stage. But for me, they're things I think that are easily ironed out. It doesn't scare me at all in terms of the final game. No worries. Signature celebration. Good question, Book. I don't know the specific. I didn't see anything like that. Someone did ask Ross that on the Big Footy thread today, and he didn't directly answer that part, but he said that something he wanted to reveal was he had a player of his that he's always had a man crush on, and I think it's Mitch Robinson, if I'm reading between the lines, go and do some motion capture stuff with them today, including celebrations and things like that, and there's more to come. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be introduced into the game, but they've definitely got people doing the motion capture of different celebrations. I'm just not sure how they're going to be used. So I thought that was interesting though. Yes, Luke, about the Richmond score, that was probably brought up quite a bit on my footage. Twisty's obviously using a pretty good camera. I was using a phone, and I posted a couple of times that watching the game live, I could see the score fine, but I do accept that through the phone, the white on yellow wasn't great. I wouldn't be shocked if they fixed it, because, all it takes is to have, slight bit of bad vision or whatever, and it would be hard to see. Yellow on white never goes well. So it's, I think that might be fixed. I don't know if there's multiple scoreboards or if you can change how that looks, but you could see it fine in real life on the screen. It just didn't come up very well. I think a lot of it was the angle as well that the camera was on, and just the filming from phone to screen doesn't always work. G'day, Josh. How are you, mate? Xavier Termer's bow and arrow would be good. Yeah. Ross seemed to be I wouldn't read too much into it, Bang. He's been under the pump massively the last few weeks. There's so much going on. I think, if I'm being honest, some of the posts in that thread in particular, I know you know the one I'm talking about. There's just been a lot of repetitive nonsense. Like some of the stuff that people keep complaining about has been explained, and people just keep running over it. They're not listening to what's being said, and it's just probably wearing them down a bit. So maybe you could have just ignored, but yeah, I think having devs in a thread like that is unbelievable access. And like we know from the first game, they took ideas from Big Footy and used it in the game. So it's not like they're not listening. So yeah, I think people are just being overcritical on some topics where they've already got answers to. But went to sleep 20 minutes before the stream ended. I didn't get an answer on it. I did ask if there were score reviews, but we couldn't find out. So I'm not I'm not too sure. Personally, I can't imagine it being in there. I think it's, when you're talking about goals and things like that in a game, it's a video game, so it's very clear cut because they've already got things built in to definitively say if it's a goal or a point. So I kind of don't see how it would work, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm getting through the questions. The price, I'm not too sure, Robbo. I've heard various things of 79 all the way to 99, but I'm actually not too sure. But if I was a betting man, I would say somewhere around 89, and I would assume that EB will be the most expensive. Keep an eye out for JB and Big W would be my thing. Were there many leads made to hit up on or men open? Yeah, there was. I'll get to some footage after, simply just that showed a bit of open space to kick into. That camera angle probably actually made it hard to find the space. When you're kicking forward inside 50, it was a little bit hit and hope, and sometimes they had plays in front. So I'm tipping there'll be another camera angle that's going to help sort of combat that. But it was a little bit hit and miss. I didn't really know where some of the players were. Yeah, it is. Josh is going well, mate. I'll activate the alerts for you again soon. I know you're desperate to spend your 800 points. Lovely. What'd you have for breakfast, Josh? Was sponsored on the side of like the AFL Premiership opening round. Okay, so Luke, for the sponsors, I believe being a fully licensed game, it will be all in there. The one thing you might have picked up on is in the footage we saw from September with the play at the grand final live site demo, even on the footballs, there was no Macca's branding on the footballs, whereas in the game last night there was. So I've already seen that stuff start to creep in, which is good. So, I mean, being a fully licensed game, it's an assumption admittingly, but you would assume it would be all fully schmick and licensed as it should be. Dusty had, it was the shaved head, not the mullet, it was the shaved head. Draper did have a mullet though. Where else? FIFA sponsors. Did a few people talk about the Richmond scoreboard? Yeah, it was. A few people did mention it, but it was all okay. It's definitely still a work in pro. Well, I'll be careful how I word that. It's not a work in progress game. The game we played last night, for those who just joined, we think has been identified as being potentially a 5-month-old dev kit. So, and the reason for that was you can't, even though they've got a newer version ready to go, almost fully completed, you can't just pick up a section of that because we were only being shown or allowed to play a certain portion of the game. You can't just pick up that one portion, drop it into a dev kit, and away you go. Like, you have to totally reformat it. Otherwise it will fall over because everything's interconnected on the back end. So what a few people in a gaming world have told me is that these demo kits are essentially built a long way out for purpose. So they won't have all the polish, they won't have the bells and whistles, but it'll be functional, it'll be playable, but just not to the degree that a fully fledged game is. Wet Toast, you're kidding yourself. The Indigenous Guernseys, I asked about that. First of all, on the Guernseys, I was blown away by how many options there were. I thought that was really, really cool. I didn't expect to see that many, all the bonus ones. And the answer, they seem to believe there's going to be more added. So I don't know whether that's going to be in from release or whether when those rounds come up, I mean the clubs haven't released their designs yet, I suppose. So they when it gets to those rounds, we might see patches for those jumpers potentially. What else was there? PS Store. Yeah, PS Store will charge full price. So for those wanting to know if the game's going to be on for download, I think it will end up there. But the big end devs were saying there's a few more boxes they've got to tick, and they have to go through a certain process to be able to get it to that stage with the PS Store, with Steam and all that kind of stuff. From what I can understand, it more surrounds the... Typically, you've got to have bonus content available, but we haven't got a mode that kind of allows that, and that'll bring me to the next bit later on about Ultimate Team, but I think it's kind of hinging on when that gets released. Do I split them? I think that we'll have the sponsors, Luke. I reckon it will. I think they will do, and the thing about Big Ant, and if you guys have played their other games, is they do keep dropping patches and content, so that they're not going to just release the game and leave it. So they love footy as much as we do, right? So they understand the importance of keeping everything fresh and up to date. So they've already said there's going to be, where needed, patches and updates and things like that. So it's not going to be, here's the copy, see you later. So having a look at a set shot here. So yeah, push circle. So you got this first bar, that's your power. I probably bitched it out there and went halfway, but it's that second bar, it's that timing bar that can be the one that throws your kick off. No, don't be sorry, Luke, don't be sorry. Simply, I think it will benefit massively from an Ultimate Team mode. I'll get to that later. I've got a video to show from Twisties that explains a bit more about that, because he's done a mountain of work there. Black, how's it going? Not really breakfast. No, welcome everybody. I'm trying to keep up with the questions as best I can. Club songs in the game rooms. Yes, they sing the songs. I couldn't hear it because I didn't have the headset on, and obviously a DJ was pumping some tunes, but the devs all categorically confirmed that you can hear, like they sing the song after the game. Coin toss was pretty cool. I did like that. What else was there? Yeah, Thomas, the state leagues. The AFL probably put something out that we maybe didn't see or get told simultaneously about all the state leagues and stuff being in there, because a few people were asking and I didn't know the answer. But that's pretty cool that it's got all the state leagues. So, and the other thing as well, I don't know if I can skip to the part of the video that has it, but when going through the grounds, if I can find it, I'll let it play for it, but going through the grounds, so there was a section that said main grounds and then all grounds. So your main ground section had the MCG, Gabba, Metricon, all the mainstays for your typical home and away season. But the all grounds menu, one we couldn't click on, it was greyed out. But I feel like that's where you're going to see all your state league grounds, your local grounds and everything like that. So that's going to be pretty cool. Bang, don't be sorry. I'm trying to answer as many as I can. No one apologise for asking questions, all good. Yes, I did find the archetypes in the footage, so good to see a few people have been spamming my footage up on their socials as well, which is good as long as we spread it far and wide. Just make sure you give credit, don't try and claim it as your own. But yes, I will get to that, because that was a pretty cool feature that I was not expecting, and I would love to know how much impact it's going to have on the players. Hey Dab, yeah, do a bit of streaming. Just getting stuck into it. Good question, Robbo. Do you think the PS4 game will look as good as the PS5? I don't actually know. I haven't even thought about that as a variation. I assume they'll look different graphically because of the different, I suppose, builds of the consoles, but I imagine both have the same content. Yeah, there was a bit of that bang, but that's okay. That's okay. As long as people get behind the game, that's the end result, so that's all good. Which AFL player at the event was the best or worst at the game? If I'm being totally honest, everyone was shit at it, right? Because it's the first time playing it, and like you can see the bits of paper with the controls next to it. No one read it when they first picked up the control. Everyone was too excited to play. So, that's okay. It's all good bit of fun. Player career. So, okay, so I want to try and find a bit where I've got the menu. Apologies for skipping. Well, that might show up. Right, so Ross announced today, hang on, I'm going to bring up we're going to go to this one first. So for those who aren't on Big Footy, Ross, they post on Big Footy. They usually post they'll answer questions and do all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if that's readable. I'll read it out anyway. So when we're talking about the menus that we saw on the game, so Ross said today that there were still modes to be in the game that were not visible to users last night. All right, so because of the dev kit, I had to turn the light mode. Do you like dark mode for this? No, light mode all the way. So because of the dev kits we were using being 4 or 5 months or whatever they are, these modes aren't the final modes. So Ross has categorically confirmed today that we did not see the full list of modes from that menu list, which is good. So there's play now, season. Season being non-plural is interesting if you're just playing one season, but we couldn't click on any of these except for Academy. Management career, which I believe is like where you're the coach as well, so you manage all the money, the transfer, or the trading, drafting, things like that, and play as the team as well. So that's that one. Play online, self-explanatory. Academy is pretty much, which we could go into, is their creator suite, and you can see all the team management, which I went into at the end. Season mode, I'm not sure what season mode was. They didn't really say. I agree, Josh. The next few years should be a good game. If people get behind this and we can get some consecutive years of having a go at it, it's only going to go from strength to strength. And we've lacked that. We've not really got consistent games out year on year. So is tackling in the game the same as even Evo 2 where the AI can tackle from a mile away? I did find that sometimes it felt like the radius in which you could be in to apply a tackle was maybe a little bit broad at times. Like it felt like I had some separation, then all of a sudden, or they had separation, whichever way, and then all of a sudden you were able to shut them down. Sometimes it was noticeable, sometimes it wasn't, but like I said, I don't know if that's something they've tweaked. But so it wasn't too bad. Just got to be quicker to handball it. So going through some kits here, I know this was a huge thing for a lot of people, the kits. Like I said, I was pretty impressed at the amount of kits they've got in the games. I think this is by far the most we've seen for any AFL game, which is cool. Ross was pretty flat out. I did ask if I could chat to him, but he was very busy. But I'm hoping to have him on for a podcast, which I can simultaneously stream onto Twitch here as well, once everything settles down. Oh, is that right, Mead? Welcome to the chat, by the way. So Evo 2 had sliders you could change the tackle radius. Oh, okay, interesting. That wouldn't be the worst feature. That would be okay. Tackles. Hopefully it's a year-on-year thing. Really, really do. Ultimate Team. All right, so let's have a look at the Ultimate Team stuff, okay? So it's been one of the questions raised a lot. And so first and foremost, mad shout out to Twisty, who managed to speak to Ross. He's obviously much, much bigger content creator than I am. So I think he had a bit more early access with the media stuff. But I'm not sure how many of you have seen this at all, but Twisty put out a video with the chat he did have with Ross. I'm going to drop the link to the video in the chat. Pardon the display screen there. But just make sure you get behind Twisty because this is a cracking video, which is very, very exciting. Ultimate Team, without saying it, Ross said it, okay? So it's going to be happening. It's a 4-minute video. I'll turn the volume up because it's fascinating conversation. Twisty, and apparently I was playing next to Twisty at the end. I didn't even know it, so I was that engaged in the game. But I saw people popping in chat saying that he was next to me. But Twisty, if you happen to see this, mate, full credit to you, buddy. I was going to ask the exact same question if I got half a chance to speak with Ross, so I'm glad you did, and I'm even more excited for the
Ultimate
answer.
Team in AFL23, is it happening I have the inside scoop, and if forgive me my voice, I've just come back from the AFL23 launch. It was a long night, and I'm editing really late. This is like 2 a.m. by the time I'm recording this, so got a little snippet here with Ross the Boss as to whether or not Ultimate Team is coming in AFL23 and when it might be coming.
This game is as real as it gets. We captured all of the AFL value players, all of the AFL players, and something you won't see in some of the documents that we go out of the feature list. We're currently working with the AFL to work out how we can get legends and current players into the game together for the first time ever.
Earlier tonight, you were saying you're working with AFL and AFLPA on potentially getting in previous players, legends.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going?
Well,
where's your thought process there, Ross? I mean, the obvious. There's an obvious thing that people are thinking about and going, all right.
There's a G rating, right?
Yeah.
And on that G rating, it says coarse language.
Yes, and there's another thing on there.
Well, and the coarse language happened because they misheard bullocking.
Yes, which is what Hutto said.
Bollocking.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So that's the coarse language, and then the other rider is the microtransaction.
Yes.
So if you think about legends, and you think about current players, and you think about them playing together, and you think about microtransactions, it leads you to the obvious conclusion.
So with an unspoken answer there as to where that's going, is that something that will be around the launch of the game, or is it not in terms of past players and everything, but in terms of the current day players? And
it's very, very likely that we want legends before we launch it.
Right, okay.
So we may be talking a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we launch it.
Okay.
Because I want legends.
Yeah.
You know, and you might have seen people.
And it's obviously a licensing nightmare to get all the players in because they'll all want different money and things like that.
What it is they want to know that the money is going for the good of the players.
Yeah.
And that's why we're working with the Players Association. Because working with the Players Association, we can ensure that past players are actually getting the benefit.
Yeah.
And it's obviously topical that we look after past players.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in strife and need help.
So if you didn't catch what me and Ross were talking about here in this little exchange here, it is that basically they are going to be doing a.
All right, so there you go. So big shout out to Twisty again. Sensational work, mate. Really, really appreciate it. So full credit. Make sure you go drop him a follow on his on all his channels on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But so yeah, that is pretty much categorically, without officially saying it, that Ultimate Team of some type will be in the game, which is bloody amazing. And it's something that has fueled speculation for ages. I've heard from a few sources that would know that it's been in. They've stuck by that all along. People get questioned time and time again, and that's okay because people want to actually see it listed as opposed to a promise. But pretty cool that they're getting the legends involved and looking after the past players and obviously the current players as well. So what that looks like in terms of cards or challenges or whatever it might be, the modes, I'm not too sure. But I'm pretty pumped that we can kind of almost officially say that yes, Ultimate Team is going to be in the AFL23 game. That's a massive, massive tick. People complain about microtransactions, but at the end of the day, you don't have to buy it. All right, if you don't want to buy packs or whatever, however they do it, you don't have to. So you can. I'm sure there'll be ways to earn packs, like there is on FIFA and NBA 2K. I hope there is anyway. But to me, that's going to be the biggest mode of the game. And probably not a bad thing if it comes a few weeks after. People can get used to the controls, get used to how the game plays, and then to drop an Ultimate Team, that's pretty cool. What's everyone thinking about that? Now that you've seen that, what's everyone's thoughts on having, as official as you can call it, an Ultimate Team mode? Good question, don't argue. What determines a legend? 3 norms, 3 granny wins. So we'll just have Dusty in there. Yeah, agree, Luke. I'm sick of people trashing the game as well. Like I said last night, and it's just my opinion, that people who are shit-canning the graphics, you can have your opinion, but I feel like they're wanting it to be FIFA or 2K, and it's not going to be that. It's pretty bloody good. My phone doesn't do it justice. But you've got developers who have, taken the ball and run with it, and they've done a pretty good job. So, yeah, keen to hear everyone's thoughts on the Ultimate Team news. I reckon that's a huge, huge part. So the other controversial talking point we had as well from last night, so I obviously went through and showed everyone the overall team ratings. We did some player ratings and things like that. Those are all completely incorrect. So we didn't know that at the time, obviously. But there's a lot of, I suppose, backlash from those ratings. Even like being a Richmond supporter, I probably paid a bit more attention to ours. But even like Nathan Broad was an 88. Even he said he probably got a bit lucky there with an 88. Love Broady to death, but an 88 felt a little bit high for him. So yeah, Ross confirmed that those ratings, or they confirmed the night that those ratings were not the real ratings of the players. They were just pretty much, for the game to function, you had to have some data against the players to be able to play the game. So it was just an info dump from Champion Data. They extracted the stats and put them on there, and that's what we got to play with. So Ross did send through a list of some of the overall player rankings that they've had from the 7th of October, which is what they've been basing it off. And the interesting wording here was, we will be updating based on performance. So, and I've realised I've highlighted that where no one can see it. So I'm interested to find out if that means that, on a weekly basis or whatever it might be, that player stats get tweaked based on performance, or what that means. So it could be a cool feature. But so we've got, Petraka on 94, Clayton Oliver 94, Lockie Neal 94, Paddy Cripps 93, the Bont 93, Bolton 92, Papley 92. I'll scroll through there, but so they obviously feel a lot more realistic. And look, is it something they should have flagged before the night? I'm not too sure. I can see both sides. Being that the night was invite only, it was obviously, they knew the target audience of people that were going to be playing, and it was typically people who have a little bit of understanding of what a dev kit is like. So they weren't going to really question that. But then when, of course, these kind of bits and pieces get out, because there was media there, obviously, everyone's taking video, streaming, all that kind of stuff, that then it's up for debate and for people to kind of tear it apart. But yeah, to come out the next day and clarify is pretty cool. And it sort of gives you confidence that they definitely know what they're doing. Bigfoot said, Ross confirmed there's a play career along with manager. Well, and like I said before, they've categorically said that the menu we saw last night did not have all the game modes on it. There's definitely more to come, which is good. I'll try and get to the second bit of gameplay I had with the Carlton game. There we go. So there was some probably better passages of play in here. Now I do want to preface this by saying, so I've got the Carlton M&M colour team. I was having to hold my battery charger up on the tripod and had one hand on an analog stick. I couldn't access any buttons, so I was kind of limited with what I was doing. So that's why I probably appear more spud-like than usual. But yeah, I was able to get a couple of good plays together in this, in terms of like ball movement down the ground and things like that, which was cool. And you'll notice as well, and I posted on YouTube some shorts of 3 different set shots. I had Tom Lynch, Morris Rioli Jr. and Harry Mackay, and you can see all 3 were clearly different in the way they held the ball, how they ran up. So it was good to sort of see that the animations weren't just all the same rolled over player to player, which was good. Yeah, don't argue. If they do have an online league, absolutely. I think to run tournaments and shit like that would be pretty cool. Be very, very good. Coach career cut. Yeah, the coach cut scenes was good. It was. I didn't expect to see. I know it's not a big thing in the overall scheme of things, but to see the sort of cut scenes at 3/4 time, the coaches board and the coaches talking, giving directions, was a nice little touch. It was good. So you still got the arms up there for a handball, arms up there again for another handball. So that's the kind of stuff. If I go back 10 seconds, because I probably should have called it before I did it. So if you watch the passage of play, I get tackled twice, but was able to get the arms up and release a handball. So it's things like this in the game that are going to help free up congestion. So I'll hit play. So there's 1, got tackled again, 2. So that second one obviously went, out the pack a bit, and they were able to capitalise and go forward. So I think that's going to be the best way to counter the tackle fest. Yeah, Thomas, I agree, mate. The amount of kiss they had was astonishing. Here we go, another set shot. So you got the power, and then you got the timing. And you'll notice I didn't do it on that one, but if you max out that timing bar, the ball wobbles in the air. So the ball shape changes, not the shape, but the flight path of the ball changes, the spin changes, and it just becomes a mongrel of a kick. So it's an accurate reflection. Can you see the stats in the game like Evo 2? Luke, no, stats didn't show up. Someone asked me that on TikTok earlier, and I went back and rewatched some of it, and I didn't see any stats pop up, but that's not to say it won't. The logical part of me says that it's a no-brainer to have in there. I think it was either turned off or being an older dev build just wasn't something they flicked on to put in it because we were playing it. They were building the demo mode for gameplay purposes, not so much all the little bells and whistles and the fancy features. But I would be shocked if they didn't give you rolling stats. I mean, even if you even looking at this now, I don't even have like player indicators with. Oh, maybe it's up there, but maybe we can try and move that. But I feel like there will be stats that show up. It's been in every other AFL game. It's a pretty key part to what fans love to see. So I'd be shocked if it wasn't there. It just wasn't in this dev kit. So the umpiring probably wasn't on point. There's a few times I got tackled and thought I should have been pinged for holding the ball, but wasn't. But again, being a dev kit, they just wanted to make sure it's playable, I suppose. And a few people asked about the Ruck contest as well. So there's a couple of, there's a bit of link-up play there. I didn't take the mark though. The Ruck contests are all controlled by analog stick, and I suppose the one thing that was noticeable is the Ruckman that didn't win the Ruck contest ultimately didn't move, which was interesting. I would be shocked if that's how that plays in the final mode. It doesn't really make sense. Boundary throw-ins, they jostle and compete, but for centre bounce and around the ground ball ups, whoever wins the timing is the only one who goes up, which I thought was a bit interesting. But I don't think it'll stay like that. I'd be shocked. Chat to Ross. Yeah, I'll definitely try and find out if there's rolling stats. Meat, welcome. Can you grab the ball out of the ruck? I don't believe you can, but I'm pretty sure in the last video of me playing, Twisties was next to me, and he actually asked the developer the same question. And he sort of said that it'd be a pretty cool feature to have in. And he's right, because there was a few times when there was a ball up deep inside 50. This is probably more to do with me not knowing the buttons properly, but I couldn't get away a quick shot on goal quick enough. I kept getting tackled, but I think I was doing the wrong buttons. And it would have actually been good if you could pull it out the ruck and just jam on your boot and score. So here we go, hit up a player. I think Harry Mackay takes the mark. So if you watch this set shot, you'll see his set shot animation was different to what we had for Tom Lynch before. So you spin the ball in his hand and things like that. I've noticed the ball landing spot isn't necessarily at the best position to meet the ball for the mark. Yeah. Yeah, a bit of a celebration. The marking, I don't say it was difficult, because it was uneasy. It was pretty much, for us playing, was like a triangle spam fest. The devs did say, though, that there is a timing element to it. I dare say that's going to come into play more in the higher difficulties or the full version. Speckies weren't in this. It's something that's still being polished and final touch added into the game, but it will be there. Because I was looking out for one of those. Would you be able to bring to select the AI to ruck? Maybe. I'm pretty sure you could do that in previous games, couldn't you? You just change your play lock. Not too sure. I didn't ask. I suppose because all the games we played, we were playing against another person, so. And I didn't really have a look at any of the tactics and stuff, but I shoot. That would be good if you could do it. I found the ruck taps quite fun, to be honest, because you can visually see where you've got a free player, and if you win the contest, you can tap it down to where you need it, which was good. It was very handy. Yeah, so I wasn't able to move much around here. And there was a couple of small glitches, like I think someone's noticed that a goal umpire ended up at centre half forward, but there'll be small things that get ironed out. Handballing is square. The longer you hold square will give you greater distance on the handball, which is good. See that, even like getting tackled to the ground there, he was still able to get a little grubber kick out, which kind of opened it up. So you can dummy, you can fend, and like balk and sell candy using the right analog stick. They said that all players will be able to do it, but some players will be able to do it better than others based on the stats and attributes, which we'll go to later. The only thing I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more jostling. So when the ball's in the air, you can use the right stick to kind of jostle and take, try and take front position. I wouldn't mind seeing that do a little bit more. Sometimes it felt like it wasn't engaging or doing anything, but maybe that's something that's been cleaned up for the final game. How do you take Speckies? Not sure. Speckies wasn't in this dev kit mode. They did say so. I should replay this. Speckies, they said, will be in the main game. They're just finishing that up, the final touches on that, but it wasn't in this. So you'll see this bit of play here. People asking about, can you get in space, pardon me, and do link up play. Granted, I think this might have been a bit of a dodgy free kick. Oh no, so the ball was turned over in the middle, and I've got players out the other side, so they weren't all getting sucked into the ball, and the St Kilda players obviously folded in, so I was able to get a quick switch out into space, then Mackay forward, and we got someone streaming past for the handball to the next position, and goal on the run. So that bit of play felt pretty cool for me, to be able to switch the ball to the other side, like you would want to do in real AFL. You want to be able to do those kind of plays, but I think the camera angle will play a part, because that kick even to Harry Mackay, I didn't know what position he was in because of the orientation of the camera, but I assume that you'll be able to there'll be different variations where you can see different parts of the ground. And that's the thing, and the dev said that the camera stuff is the hardest piece often to get right, because of how big our grounds are, how many plays there are on the field, and there's so many variables at play that it's hard to find that optimum camera. It's a tough job. Yeah, I agree, Bang. I'm keen to see the tactics as well. It would be cool if there was like just an analog stick thing where you can change it from attacking to ultra attacking and so on. Go. I'll go to the player ranking stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh, I had it. So yeah, we can go into the academy. What's the footy score, guys? I have to check my phone here. Oof. Close. Yeah, exactly right. Bang, exactly. And this bit's purely speculation on my part, and probably a little bit of hope as well. But Ross did post a while ago that as early as Feb 2022, they had AFL assistant coaches on their payroll to help with the building of the AI, and I'm hoping that included sort of tactics and player movement in certain situations and things like that. So hearing them say that they had people of that caliber there gives me hope that we might see something a bit more meaty in that part, something that's more meaningful, and that you can notice a difference. But I mean, remains to be seen. That's as I said, that last part's sort of hope and speculation on my part, but fingers crossed. So you got the player lightness, so you can see you got the Macca's branding on the ball, as I was saying before, from that September build at the grand final. That wasn't there. Agree, don't argue. Lewis Young is a gun. He did a number on Rewalt last week too. He was very good. So there was someone in chat before asking about Essendon in terms of players. So during this piece of the video, you'll see Sam Draper, if you're still around. Don't forget, drop a cheeky follow as well if you're enjoying the content, guys. Appreciate the love and support. Glad we're getting a good quality AFL game. And I know I said it a few times on the night, but every player... Oh, I want to go back 10 seconds here. Every player... AFL and AFLW was face scanned, including the draftees, so they were all done. Maybe that's not the greatest shot. Maybe I get a better shot. But you can see down here, archetype, crumbing. Who's that? Riley Garcia. I don't really know who that is. I'm not a Bulldog supporter. But it's going to be fascinating to see. I think I go through this things a bit more. But it's going to be fascinating to see how the archetypes work for this game. It's something we've never had in this before. We've had it in like 2K and FIFA and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see how it translates into what modes, whether it's career, ultimate team, whatever it might be. The skill proficiencies, it was good to see these. Physical, offense, defense, kick and handball. So obviously all the things that make up a player's overall. The weak foot, so very similar to, I suppose, how FIFA do it, the weak foot. Special kicks, I suppose, is what we would maybe associate as the trick stick, or whatever you want to call it, which is good. Ground ball gets, interesting that even like ground ball gets being a fundamental stat that impacts your player is interesting. I'm not sure if we've had that before, so that seems a bit more in-depth and detail. So this is what they were talking about before with the fending off. So every player will be able to fend off and evade, but your ability to be able to do it and the ease at which you do it will be kind of tied back into that stat line, the fending and the evasion. There you got Specky's, the Specky bar as well. So it looks like they've gone into quite a bit of depth with the stats. Vertical leap, so recovery as well, sprint, stamina. What's everyone's thoughts on these skill charts and how they differ from what we've seen previously? Has anyone got any thoughts or questions around that? I'll let it roll through. I think I found a couple of other players. Oh, there you go. So there's some stats. Obviously, the unknown is that going to be lifelong? Like, will they just keep rolling over? Hopefully, that'd be kind of cool if it tells you the whole total of matches played, goals, disposals. That'd be kind of nice. But I didn't really ask, to be honest. But hopefully it's throughout the whole duration. I bloody knew the Blues were going to get up. I said that Geelong were going to find that game a lot more trickier than what they thought because of how defensive Carlton were against us. Yeah, composure. Yep, that would be good. That's a good one for blitz halves. Yeah, no, Stuart. I get my two kids to do my footy tips. I just sort of alternate between the two, asking them who they were going to pick. Who did they pick tonight? I'm pretty sure they picked Geelong. And I was okay with that. Ah, they did. Damn. Ross might be happier tomorrow. Who would have thought that Geelong would go 0-2? There we go. That's a good one for Taranto as well, that play model. Oh, my face cam's in the way. What a dick. You can see Geelong doing a Port, losing their first 5 games.
Remember, guys, these stats aren't, these overalls aren't final.
Pies gameplay. I do have Pies gameplay. I do have that. I was trying to find the Sammy Draper one.
So looking at the kits.
Nah, Forrester. I know you've just joined, mate. Welcome. The overalls that you've just been seeing here are not the final overalls. This dev kit is about 4 or 5 months old, we think, and they obviously need to have a number against a player to be a playable game. So even these team overalls are not accurate. It was literally just a data dump from Champion Data and their ratings, and not an accurate reflection. Ross posted on pages 215, 217, and maybe some others in between. Yeah, he showed us what rankings they're using as of the 7th of September. So that's the most recent model they've got, and kind of alluded to that they will be updated based on player performance as well, which is good. Okay, the pairs. Were the Port Adelaide supporters out here? Were you pretty pumped to see the Prison Bar Guernsey in the game? I know a lot of people were asking for that. That was pretty cool.
The orange team.
So we'll just let this roll with the Guernseys. I know some people, not everyone saw it, so we'll let it roll. But like I said, the overalls take no notice of. They will be completely overhauled and different. Has Eddie sued the game yet? Oh no, he just gets on such a rampage on his high horse, doesn't he? I've never understood it. Thank you for the follow, Mitch. Much appreciated. Thank you to everyone for the follows. Really, really appreciate the love and support. Rio's kits. Yeah, the prison bars. You enjoyed that, Kieran? Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like I said before, I'm not sure how many have just joined, but I was really impressed with how many different options they had here. Didn't think, you know, you kind of just think maybe home away alternate, but to have that many different versions was pretty cool. And I know it's something that a lot of people have been crying out for years, not just now, but for a long time, to have kit choices.
And it sounds like the jersey bit's not complete either.
I can't believe they got the M&M colour in there. That's how good they're going. Yeah, I did see a few people asking for that. I apologise for not playing. Being a Richmond nuffy, I couldn't bring myself to not pick Richmond and play. I know that might seem stupid, but I think we would probably have all done the same. If you're playing the game, you're 100% picking your team. I think there was South Melbourne in here as well for the Swans. Oh, good question. Where was Hawthorn? Oh, I must have had the... Oh, there we go. No, they didn't. I don't blame them. That was horrible. Someone want to see it. I think here's where we'll see Draper for the Essendon. So Guernsey manager, custom, logo. So I think you can actually upload, so the community can upload their own designs and you can just import them into your game.
I can't find all the players.
Eddie's a spud. Oh, we pre-ordered your game today. Very good, Forrest. I'm still unsure what to get. Now, yeah, I don't know what I should say. So the game, people who watched the announcement, they said that everyone there was getting a game, which is cool. But I'm not sure if it's on release or earlier. I don't know if that's saying too much, or if I've read it wrong. But it'd be kind of cool if it's earlier. Like if it's earlier, happy days. I'll stream the shit out of it if I'm allowed to. But if it's on launch, then it is what it is. G'day. I can't even say that. Clicks. Yo, do honest thoughts on the game. I really liked it, and like I sort of posted on Big Footy, going to this event, I was under no obligation or whatever to say anything positive. It's completely up to my discretion whether I liked it or not and what I said about it. Clam. Okay, listen. All good. Like I said earlier, that looking at it through the lens of a phone doesn't do it justice. Apologies for the tripod, messing around a bit there. But the graphically, by far the best footy game we've had, easily. And the dev kit that we used was maybe about, I said before, we think about 4 to 5 months old based on some info that come out today. So we only had access to certain modes, but it played pretty well for what it was. And, you know, you play these things at those kind of nights, understanding you're not playing a finished product, you're just playing a demo of the game, essentially, in a very raw format. And for what we got from it, I thought it was pretty good. I played the video before from Twisties about Ultimate Team. It is in without categorically saying it's in. Ross said it was in, so I played Twisties video before. I encourage anyone to go to Twisties website and check out the video. If more people jump on board after, I can play the video again. But yes, confirming without it being officially said that Ultimate Teams will be in. Maybe not at launch, because they're still trying to get all the sign off and working with the AFL PA for the past players, because there's probably a few more things to do there. But they want to make sure Ross said in that interview with Twisty that he wants to make sure that they have the past player piece lined up or the legend player piece lined up before going live with it. So they're not going to half-ass it and just go with the current players. They're going to wait until they get it all sorted, locked and loaded, and then launch it, which I think is pretty cool. Because the temptation would be there to half-ass it and... oh, here we go. I'll pause that. The temptation would be there to half-ass it and just go with what you've got because people are screaming for it. But the fact they want to hold off and actually do it properly is a good sign. How wet toast? No, I don't think you can play as Barry Hall. So I just thought I'd pause it here for some options that you have at the start of a game. This is just a kick-off game, mind you. So you can pick your stadium, quarter length, difficulty, start time, which is cool. I did have someone ask me if does the game transition from day to night, if it's like a twilight game. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't know how to even answer that. The rules, so with the rules, so you can't turn off specific rules. So you can't say, I don't want stand, I don't want whatever. But you can pick whether you're playing AFL rules, AFLW rules, Sandful rules, Waffle rules, whatever it might be. So you can pick what type of league rules that you're playing with in the Play Now mode. Backyard rules, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Backyard rules. Super goals, yeah, that'd be good as well. Injuries enabled, ball colour, red, yellow, weather, auto, wind on. Stadiums, like I said, one of the main menus, there's a list that says main stadiums, but then next to that, there's a list that says all stadiums. So I'm guessing that'll contain all your state league ones and things like that. Look, I don't think there will be an option for marble roof opened or closed. And I say that because I'm pretty sure the AFL themselves announced that all this year the roof will be closed no matter what. So I assume that might just follow suit. Albert and Oval, I don't have a lot of knowledge of the SA teams, but if Albert and Oval is used as part of the Sandful, I think it will be in there without categorically knowing. But given they've got all the state league teams in there for Sandful, Waffle, and things like that, I imagine that it would be. Yeah, roof closed all season. How's the markers up? I don't know. That was one of the older ones. That'd be pretty cool, though, the mini games. What rules? What rules is that? Just like AFL. Yeah, so I think a few people asking if you could just go straight out play a grand final. Nothing read to me like you could in the modes we could see, but like I said, Ross confirmed today that the game modes that we were looking at on this dev kit were not the full list of game modes. So there is more on that list than what we could see last night. So maybe it is there and it just wasn't in the dev kit. Sample teams. Oh, okay. I reckon it might be in there then. Yeah, stand on the markers in there. Spargo, welcome. I don't think there'll be pro clubs. Like I said before, it's pretty much been unofficially confirmed that Ultimate Teams is in. As much as I would love pro clubs, because I'm a huge pro clubs fan, I think it would be extraordinarily difficult to do that for an AFL game. When you think about it logically, so you look at FIFA, for example, the most players you've got to worry about is 22, and the field size is a lot more restricted. Whereas AFL, we've got 22 on just one team. 18 on the ground, but 22 in total to worry about for just one side, let alone if you maxed out all teams. It would be too hard. The servers would shit themselves. People would complain. It would be hard to be able to track where your player was. I just think it's logistically too hard to do. Happy to be proven wrong, of course. It would be amazing, and I would play the shit out of it. I just can't see how it logistically works. Like, you look here, if you're in the foreline and the back line, I know you can have different camera angles and shit like that. I just feel like, as much as I would absolutely love it, I just think the amount of players in our game and how big our grounds are is what's killed that idea. What maybe could happen is maybe there's like a version of like AFL 9s in kind of your Volta mode type thing. Maybe people may not like that suggestion, but that would maybe be a compromise I could think of. Aye, Captain. No, I found short kicks were called play on in this. They were not paid marks. I'm not sure of the exact measurements, but yeah, it was. So I just thought I'd pause it here for a trophy. Got to go fast. So if you can score a goal within the first 30 seconds, I think it was, you unlock a trophy. So something cool to look out for there. We are the teal deal, 100%. 100%. And I said it multiple times last night. People who are shit canning the graphics, and like I said, I'm filming this through a phone, so this doesn't do it full justice. But from the actual gameplay you guys have all seen from the proper AFL feed and shit like that, the graphics, come on, they shit on what we've had before in AFL games. And the people who are bagging it want it to be FIFA and 2K. And we would all want that. It would be fantastic. But the reality is, the budget isn't there to compete or do something like what 2K and FIFA do. It's just not going to happen. So the quicker people temper their expectations and understand what game they're buying and understand the restrictions that Big Ant have, and they've still put out an amazing game so far, I reckon. So yeah, don't be too disheartened about it. That would be cool if the umpire cooked a couple of bounces. That would be interesting. It's a real thing, isn't it?
30 seconds or a minute or something.
Do you reckon there'll be a different control mode for goal kicking, like using both joysticks, left for run up? So goal kicking, I'll let it play, I don't really need to pause that. Goal kicking, Andy. So when you take the mark, I'm not sure if I take one here or not. Nope. So if you take a mark inside 50, push circle, and that will bring you to your goal kicking mode, where it does the behind the player shot, which you might have seen before. So from there, there's two meters you have to contend with. So the first one is a power meter, and the second one, I might take a mark here and be able to see. Okay, so look, so watch this. So I hit circle. So you got the behind shot. You'll see the first power bar. Obviously, I handballed. Of course I did. What a nuffy. So then once you hit your power, the next bar. The next bar then goes into a timing one, and you've got to try and get the timing in the little blue shaded sweet spot. And if you get that wrong, you'll shank the kick. So, great decision. I don't think there'll be anything involving the two sticks. I'm not even sure if that would even be an option to change. I wouldn't have thought so. The devs were pretty impressed, and they were loving what they've done with the goal kicking in terms of the animation, the two bars to use and things like that. They're pretty happy with it. And we are the teal deal 100%. If we all get behind it and put money into it, we will see bigger and better games year on year. No brainer. No brainer. I can't believe I handballed that one before. We'll see a set shot in a second. I'm sure I take a mark and kick a goal at some point. Vlosten takes a mark. The gameplay is the most important thing. I wonder if player archetype will have an influence on the game. Kev, how are you, mate? I agree the gameplay is king, and I would be gobsmacked if the archetype didn't have an impact. You don't put something like that in the game if it doesn't have a direct correlation to how a player performs. It just wouldn't make sense. But what modes it has an effect in and how it works, and if you have to build up to get an archetype, there's heaps of things like that we don't know yet. But the fact it's in there is a pretty cool feature. So it's all timing, I guess, with the button presses. Andy, to be honest, the goal kicking is hard. Even on easy, it's hard. Like, the power piece is okay, but the timing meter, when I say timing, it's still a meter and you've got to hit it in the right spot. But when the higher it gets, the quicker it goes, and it's quite easy to overshoot it, and you end up spraying the shot. And obviously we were playing on the absolute easiest mode, so it obviously will get more difficult the higher up you go. So I thought at times, a lot of it because it was the first time playing, but it was still tricky. I think I'll take a mark here, but I think I'll try a banana. So if you push the directional pad, it changes to a banana. It'll change the stance a little bit. And I've tried a banana and completely botched it. So I'm aiming out a bit wider, but didn't hit it well at all. Although, I think I'll take a mark here. There we go. Call it a pass. I'm not sure about the My Player cutscenes. They've got quite a few cutscenes already, so I imagine they'll keep rolling with that. This sounds so dumb for me, but if you slightly miss kick or something, especially if you're full forward, it should usually be a point. Yeah. I didn't necessarily... So the shanked kicks I had a mixed bag of results. Some went through for a point, some went out in the full, and some fell short, and then I was able to actually recover it by taking a mark on the boundary line. So there wasn't a consistent outcome. It differed. And I probably think that it maybe depended on the distance that I was out.
let it go.
Oh, so I'm going to go back here. So what I was saying before, that this may have more to do with me not knowing the buttons, and I'm sure there was a quick snap kind of button, but I didn't really know what it was. But it's kind of in this situation where I was probably finding it the most difficult to kick a quick goal. Like, I've got 3 players free that I was able to hit it down to, but wasn't able to get that quick kick away from goal. So this is where, if they included a button like pulling it out of the ruck contest or things like that, would be handy as well. Like, I couldn't really get anything away there. So, but that kick off the ground, if that whistle had been half a second off, I would have scored there. It would have been pretty cool. I mean, that one, so even there, I got the handball out, tackle, and then was able to burst through there and kick a goal on the run. So it did kind of open up eventually. But I'd like to maybe see the ability to kick the ball quicker from those congested situations, and maybe that's already there even in this version of the game. I just didn't push the right buttons, so that's a possibility too. I get what you mean, Andy. Kind of like a golf shot, how you can pull or hook it. I understand what you mean. And maybe it's something for future versions. I do get that point, though. If in the tackling, every 2 at 1 button, high tackle in the back. I don't know if there was other buttons like that. I know you can bump, but I didn't really do that. Might be no such thing as a stupid question, Spargo. You can change camera angles. There are other camera angles. We didn't have the option to change it. It wasn't built into the dev kit game. It was just, this was the standard one. But that's okay. But as we asked the devs about the camera stuff, and they said that was by far and away the hardest thing to put in the game, because there's so many different options, and even them in the office, they all don't have the most favorite camera angle. It's all personal preference. So I don't know how many there are, but I dare say, based on the fact that they've all got different opinions, that there might be quite a few options in there. And there might be slight tweaks and slight variations. But yeah, there's definitely different angles. We weren't able to access it, so I can't sort of say what they are. The gameplay did feel more fluent. And this is even being not a fully finished game. It still felt like, you'll see there was still tackling and stuff. Maybe the ball wasn't released as quickly a few times. But I think there were things that, while might look crap, I think are easily fixed, and it sounds like they already have been fixed, but they just weren't in this version of the game. Will it be improved on from last night? The game, Strepsil? Yes, 110%. So for those who've just joined, welcome, first of all. But Ross today, don't want to say confirmed this part, but it's been strongly alluded to that, well, pretty much, so this dev kit that we were playing last night was not part of the game that they submitted for like the final, approval and thing like that. Okay, so it's not on that same branch. It's a lot of steps back. And the way someone else in the gaming industry described it was, even though, yes, they've got almost a completed game at their disposal, we only had access to one mode. So you can't just pick up a piece of that new version of the game, dump it into a couple of dev kits, and away you go, because it's all linked to the entire game and it would all fall over. So when you sort of split it up, you have to actually kind of build a specific demo kit and tweak everything around it to make it a complete game, so it's not looking for everything else from different areas, if that makes sense. So the essential thing being that the dev kit will have been built a long way out, so the thoughts are it's possibly at least 4 or 5 months from when this mode was that we're playing compared to now, so a long time between drinks for sure, so it's going to be much different. Thank you for the follow, Kev. And for anyone who's just joined as well, it's been confirmed too that what we could see on the menu in terms of game options is not the final list. There's more to the game menu than what we could see, which is cool. I think so, don't argue, the automatic ball release by releasing R2. That's what I was trying to do. I just kind of did that to not get pinged for running too far. No worries, mate. All good. All good. Kicking on the run. I don't know if there was a timing thing. It kind of felt like most of them went in. So I don't know if there's anything else that's been added to it. I think the power determines the accuracy a little bit. Like if you hold it too long, Andy, that it will veer off. Is the Holy Grail going to play? I hope so, Spargo. I really hope so. It definitely felt more open, Captain. The goddamn dead man, welcome. Yes, there is. I should have read your question out. Are there a variety of set shot animations? There is. So I posted 3 YouTube videos today, or shorts. One of a set shot from Tom Lynch, one of Maurice Rioli Jr., and one of Harry Mackay, and all 3 are different. So Harry Mackay was spinning the ball in his hand. You could tell the way that Morris and Tom Lynch were leaning over were different. So it wasn't like a copy and paste job all the way through, which was good. The different players have different looks to them when kicking. Yeah. I didn't see Grind Myers in particular. But yeah, if you check out my YouTube, there's 3 different videos, and they're all distinctly different routines, which is pretty cool. The Holy Grail. Didn't do any hangers. There wasn't the hangers. Speckies weren't in this dev kit mode, so yeah, I wasn't able to do any hangers. But I have been told it's obviously in the main game. End to end. So I'm trying to catch up. Painey says that the ball hangs in the air for a little bit too long. Are you going crazy? It did. I know what you're talking about. So sometimes when kicking the ball inside 50, when you're about 60, 70 metres out, if you get like a lot of power on it like that, it does feel like a little bit of hang time. I'm not sure if that's something that's been scaled down for the real version. We'll find out, obviously. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It kind of just felt like it had rain on it by the time it came down. But I suppose it gave me time to run to position to try and mark it. Bood, welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yes, I did get my charger pack back from Christian Petraka. So he tracked me down at the start of the night and borrowed it from me. Luckily, I got it back so I could use it myself because my phone nearly died. Was I mentioned the Fox Footy article? Really? Oh, if anyone can clip that, send it through. That's kind of cool. Did they mention Pink Pandas or just that someone was streaming it? That'd be a good plug to get, wouldn't it? Don't forget, if you're liking what you're seeing and having a bit of fun, feel free to drop a follow. Any support's greatly appreciated. Captain, I don't want to be critical, but the off the ball players seem very static. Captain, I don't disagree with that, but what I will say, and this theory came from someone who does game development, not for Big Amp, but just in a different realm, that when piecing together a demo kit like this, you don't necessarily put in all your animations, all your bells and whistles. It's kind of a very bare bones, basic build of what the game looks like and how it plays. So yes, while you're right that visually they are static, I personally would be shocked if it still did that in the game, in the full game. And it's, I don't know, like all these little minor things that people found. So don't forget as well, guys, during this game in particular, the one we're watching now, the devs were right behind me watching all your comments come through. So they were pointing at comments and talking to each other about the feedback and things that you guys all noticed. So they're across it. They read all the big footy threads. They watch anyone who puts out content. So Boo, they watch your stuff. They watch my stuff. They watch Twisties, everyone, to get all the feedback. And they talk about it. So they're open to everyone's interpretation and feedback and ideas. Stream name was in the article. Oh, sick. If anyone can find a copy of that, feel free to send it through to me on Discord. That'd be awesome. I'll pop the Discord in here. Oh, I can spell. That's pretty cool. Andy, AI. So we didn't... So it was on the absolute easiest game mode possible on easy, but when playing, the games we were playing was all against someone else. So I didn't play against AI at all. I nearly did at the end, but a dev jumped on and played as Collingwood. And I appreciate him not shitting all over me. He actually went easy on me. I could tell he was going easy on me to get some good footage, which was good. Yeah, Kev, they do. They do look close at times. And even sometimes during the set shot, some of the players look like they were in no man's land, just kind of hovering around. But again, I kind of feel like that's because the full... Oh, there you go, another trophy, sing the song. The full animation cohesive unit wasn't in the demo. And like I said, this is probably 4 or 5 months behind where the actual game's at. So I don't believe it would have all been in. Thank you, Captain. You're an absolute superstar. And I agree about the jostling. So it does say the right analog stick does say it is a jostling button, but sometimes it didn't feel like it did much. So I remember I can't remember which AFL game it was, that you could noticeably tell the jostling in some of the older games. I'm hoping that's been tweaked a bit for the main game, because it didn't feel like it did much at times. Your boy, not categorically, but when you see what Ross had written about the dev kit and the demo kit, so there's a version of the game that's been sent off for approval to go gold and fully finalized, and it's not on that branch. It's not on that path of where they were going. It's way back here somewhere. And then another person in the gaming industry, like I said, explained it to me that when you do these type of nights, those demo kits are often built a long way out. It's just, you've got to have a point in time when there's a stable game that's showing gameplay that you can play, but it's not all the bells and whistles, because you can't just take the new part of the game and drop it into a dev kit straight away. It doesn't work like that. And the reason why we say 4 or 5 months is based on Ross saying that the player stats that they're using for what, their new version is as of the 7th of October. And obviously we know that the stats that we could see last night were not what Ross posted. So it's kind of just piecing 2 and 2 together that, well, if they're using X stats that were based on October the 7th and we were looking at stats that were not that, then October to March is 4 or 5 months. So it must have been something before that point in time, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit of piecing the puzzle together, but I think it makes sense. Robbo, will there be DLC updates? Yeah, so from Big Ant have always said they'll support this game right the way through. So the copy everyone gets on release isn't just going to be, yep, there's your copy, see you later, job done. So they'll constantly update, add things, fix things, do whatever they've got to do. So they're pretty proactive in that space. And it sounds like they've already got plans and, yeah. Okay, Smush, welcome to the chat. But yes, they will update it. There was something... 4 or 5 months behind sounds right. Hang on, I might go back to my chatting screen quickly because easy to keep up with comments in here. Bood, honest thoughts on the cover. I feel like he got swept under the carpet a bit with the gameplay. I think it's a fair call. I think, unfortunately, the cover was a victim of the entire night. I mean that in a nice way, but like you said, it gets kind of lost. People are there for the gameplay. I thought it was a clean cover. I think there was the assumption there was going to be male and female athlete. Petraka, and that sort of mini snippet they did in their season launch package probably hinted strongly at him being on there. But I think it's a neat cover. And when you see people shit-keying the game based on the cover, it just blows my mind. I just cannot understand it. But anyway. Can't wait. I'm glad you're looking forward to the game, Smush. It's an absolute ripper. If you've got any questions, feel free to shout out. A few Hawks draftees are not scanned in this version. Yes, so the devs said quite a few times that every player in the AFL and AFLW were scanned, draftees included. So like I said, if this game is 4 or 5 months old and is pre-October, then that's before the draft. So they wouldn't be in this version. So yes, they have categorically said that all the players have been scanned and everything. So that would make sense. You hope for North specifically when singing the song from the start. Yeah, that's interesting. If they'll do that, Blako, that's an interesting thought. Smush the price. Someone put it before, but I think it'll hover somewhere between $79 to $89.99, depending on where you buy it from. Like always, Big W usually undercut Target, who undercut JB, and then EBs tend to try and charge the most. And digital, unfortunately, there's not really much of a discounted price, as we all know. And with the price, you see a lot of people saying, oh, you're paying the same price for this as you're paying for FIFA and 2K. Well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. But don't bitch and moan about it. End of the day, if we want good versions to continue, you've got to support the game year on year. It's as simple as that. Player ratings will be changed weekly. I know, Kev, I know. I saw the article about the player ratings and I just cringed. And look, a little bit of this, I don't want to blame Big Ant, but it would have been better if that was maybe known before doing it. But maybe they didn't anticipate it was going to go out. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the player ratings we saw definitely were not the real ones. Yeah, exactly, Captain. Exactly. Shit canning. Yeah. Thoughts on the Geelong Carlton game, Smush? I'm a Richmond supporter, and after our game last week, I said straight out that Carlton will potentially beat Geelong because the Geelong-Collingwood game, in my view, had nowhere near the amount of pressure that our game did. And if Carlton could bring the same heat, there would be a chance, and they obviously won. Will they add mid-season drafts players? Luke, I don't know categorically, but I dare say based on how proactive they are with DLC, I feel like they will, but that's not a definitive answer. That's probably more a hunch from me. Thank you for the follow, Smush. Much appreciated. Do I know what Dusty's rating was? The ratings we saw in-game weren't real, but I'll go back to I don't know if he was on here or not. So this was the rating list that Ross released today, which is what they've got as the most up-to-date. And Dusty does, so we're down to 89 overall, and Dusty hasn't featured yet. So, not too sure what's happening there. Dusty's 99 doesn't go that high in the sheet. I know. No, I think that's fair enough. Up the Tigs. Cub looks great. The archetypes. Did I have it for Crips? I'll try and find it. Somewhere down here. Who's that? So I've got one up there, and I cannot remember this player's name. I'll let play. DeGoey has to be up there. Luke, sorry. So the mid-season draft, I don't definitively know if they will put him in or not, but based on how proactive Big Ant are and how committed they are to updating content, I won't be shocked if they do. It feels like they're all in on this. They're not half-assing it. So I don't know for sure, but I would think it will. Dusty's unadjusted. Come on, Captain. No way. DeGoey has to be up there. So, Robbo, this is the interesting thing. No, they didn't. I don't know if I missed what I was meant to pause on. I think I did miss it. Oh, no, I didn't. I thought they were going to announce the game modes, but it didn't happen. So I'm not sure if they were meant to and then something changed. I don't know. I just had a weird vibe that something along the line might have changed. I'm not too sure. I might be totally wrong. They didn't, but then Ross came out today and said that what we had on the menu in terms of game mode was not the final list, and there's more to it. So that's good. But no, they didn't. I thought the trailer looked pretty cool. I liked it too, Captain. And Luke, I think you're right. I think they will do the DLC, the mid-season draft stuff. So Boot, here's another archetype for Riley Garcia. So Crumming is another one. If I had have realised this a bit better last night, I would have actually made a concerted effort to find more of those. So I'll just pause on the stat things again. I know you posted this today as well, mate, but for anyone else who hadn't seen it yet. So Special Kicks I thought was an interesting one in here. Specky, so you got like your Specky rating, which is kind of cool. Weak foot, so very similar to what we see for FIFA, for those who didn't see this before. D. Rebby, welcome. How did the handball chains feel? Didn't see many handballs in any of the footage released. Was it just like people using handball? I was trying my best. I finally got a couple of handball chains together, but what I think maybe limited that was it kind of felt like maybe sometimes the radius of the area in which you can apply a tackle in was maybe too broad. And maybe it sometimes felt a little bit unresponsive, like I was smashing square to handball, but it wasn't executing it. And whether that's because I was meant to hold it, maybe I was hitting buttons wrong, I'm not too sure. But sometimes it would get it away, and then other times I'd get tackle and then squirt out a handball, and then someone else would pick it up. But small things like that, I feel like the balance would be better in a future game. Like I said, being a demo kit, there could be quite a bit of those polish and bells and whistles left out that make the game feel complete. Half a second to Crips. Oh, earlier? Wait. Oh, do you think it was after this bit? Yeah, Spargo, I agree. I'm really more interested to see how they apply the archetypes and how they fit into the game and in what modes, which is pretty cool. Morse, welcome. Is there a day-night cycle? I don't know. I know you can select whether you want to play it day. Well, I'm assuming the other one says night, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it will transition, from a twilight game into a night game. Interesting question, though. Yeah, the style, I get why the style pace would be appealing.
Like I said, the ratings aren't final.
Kev, in the game I played Carlton versus St Kilda, granted I wasn't able to fully use the control because I was holding other random shit. There was a bit of play where the gentleman I was playing against had was it Brad Hill, I think, on the wing, burst away, and there was absolutely zero chance of catching him. So I think there was a noticeable difference, and there was a couple of times where it felt like players got almost a mini speed burst, but I'm not sure if that was attributed to anything in particular or not. After this, you reckon, Boot? All right, I'll keep an eye out. Yeah, the tactics captain, I'm keen to hear more on that as well. So we had no access to any of that kind of stuff. I'm just assuming that there's going to be tactical stuff in there because of the assistant coaches helping develop the game. I'm hoping. This is more of a hopeful thing. So apparently, the menus even that we see now may look a little bit different to what we saw last night too. No worries, Morse. All good with the stream. All good. If anyone out there is enjoying it, make sure you drop a follow as well. Any support's greatly appreciated. Good to see so many AFL fans getting behind it. Slower pace up with the camera. Yeah, that's true, Andy. That's very true. Like I said, there's probably going to be different. I thank you for the follow, Lucid Green. There is a clearance kick button. I will go back and try and find the control list in a sec so we can have a look at that. Trailer breakdown. Yeah, I can play the trailer. To be fair, I was on a bit of a shit angle. I didn't want to go stand centrally and have everyone looking into my screen or me holding up a camera in everyone's way, but I will do that. I agree, Kev. The speed needs to be relevant, and that's been a knock on even NBA and FIFA, that sometimes what you would say are the quicker players, it's been hard to tell. Maybe I didn't do this Crips thing. Where did I do it?
So I'll go through the team's overalls.
Robbo, so the devs said they're still putting the final tweaks and touches on it. So I think they've submitted a game, well, they had to have submitted a game for all the, official ticks of approval and things like that. But I think they're still just applying a bit of polish and bells and whistles. And that's okay. And that's what gives me great hope for the game, is that if this is 4 or 5 months behind and I still thought it was enjoyable and played okay, then at a bare bone kind of feel, then what they have is a fully finished game should be, pretty good to play. Shea Bolton's going to be a gun.
I'll go back and find Draper.
Maybe I did. Oh, maybe I did it here. We'll see how it goes. Oh, there you go. L2 LT for the quick clearance. So it is there. It is there. I just didn't use it. Probably should have used it. Oh, here we go. So for any Essendon supporters wanting to see Sammy Draper, there's a lot of people wanting to check his mullet. A lot of people. Pretty good likeliness, I reckon. Then you got some draftees and shit there as well. Morse, I don't know the definite answer about the Marvel roof being open or shut, but I said earlier on, based on the fact the AFL announced themselves that for all games at Marvel this year the roof will be closed, I assume that will copy in the game too. particularly for modes like season, where I think it replicates what the season is in terms of fixturing. So I assume that it'll just do that. The game releases on the 13th of April, so on Gather Round Week. Gather Round Week, just to get through next week. Full week off Easter, yep. And if I happen to get a copy of it earlier, I'll try and get some stuff out there. I'm not holding my hopes for that, but you never know your luck in the big city. It'd be kind of cool. I'll just be happy to get my hands on it one way or another, whenever that is, and play it, because I think I'm just interested to see how different the final game is compared to this, knowing sort of what we know now. What did I want to find? I wanted to find the buttons. No, it wasn't back there. Apologies. There we go. So there's a list of the buttons. Yeah, I do, Kano. I just don't know the when of that. There was... Yeah, I don't know if it's early or not. I have a cheeky suspicion, but I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. G'day, Brody. Everyone's going well here. How are you? How are you going tonight? Morse, from what we could tell, PC at this stage is meant to drop the same day on the 13th. And I know it's not in the Steam store yet. Cox has goggles. Yeah, I don't know, actually. But I think, well, from what they said, like I sort of said last night as well, that for the digital copies, there's a few more hoops they've got to jump through and get signed off on before PS Store or Steam, all that kind of stuff, put it up. And this is just an opinion, but I think a lot of that surrounds bonus content being available, because it's kind of what you see for most games. But because of the modes not all being released, I haven't got that yet. So I'm not sure if that's the final piece. Like, I'm sure having the cover revealed as one part, and that might be the last part. But now that we know the Ultimate Team is going to be in there in some capacity, that could be the final piece of the puzzle. Not that was more announced today, courtesy of Twisty's video that we played earlier. Should get a comp happening. Yeah, I would love, if I've got the time and ability to set up some games, then like, I don't really know how the online bit handles. But if it's 1v1, we could easily set up, tournament brackets and things like that. It'd be good fun, especially being cross-platform. That's the beauty of it. So, which is awesome. So we've got the controllers here, attacking controls, power disposal, and maybe the reason why I kept kicking it out of bounds was maybe I was unknowingly holding that. I'm not too sure. So L1 gives you your flatter stab pass, if you want to call it that. R2, sprint play on. R1, tap to cycle target. So that's what I was saying earlier. If a player marks the ball, you can see the next players down the ground have a circle around it. You can tap R1. I think you can actually flick the right analog stick as well, and it toggles around the player, and that's who you'll pass it to. So if you can get someone into space, that's what you can do. The goal, kick this into the set shot, evade right stick, defending, switch player L1. I didn't do this, but I was interested to read it. So the R1, homing in and pressure ball carrier, so you can kind of corral players, which I thought was pretty cool. Didn't try it, but interesting to know that you can do it. Jostle, bump, spoil. Like I said before, I felt like the jostle didn't do a lot. Like, there was plenty of times, in a marking contest, I was side by side. We were both hitting the button, but it just kind of felt like a 0-0 draw. So I'm hoping that's going to be something that's tweaked and improved on for the main game. It just might be something that didn't make the cut for the dev kit. Yeah, agree, Boo. The ball carrier, I don't know if it's ever been in a game before. It'll be interesting to see how effective it is. I envision it to be similar to what a jockeying trait does in FIFA, how you just kind of pressuring him and guarding space is how I view it. Set shots. This is what I was saying with the set shots before. So you push circle to go into set shot mode. If you're on the boundary, you push your left directional pad for snapshot. You can do right for a banana, or if you're left footer, it's a snap. You can play on, and you got your power up, or you can do what I did stupidly and handball it. Do you reckon Big Ant will release a training ground? I think there is a training area. Yep, I did see that in one of the menus. I don't know what you can do on there, but yes, I did see a training section. Kev, yes, you can fend off. Loose ball controls, I don't know if it's in that. Oh, advanced attacking. There you go. Fend off. Right stick down. All players can do these abilities, but like we said earlier, with the player stats and traits, some will have a higher fending stat, so it's got its own category, so that means they are better at it than some others. So that's pretty cool as well. So loose ball, power modifier, switch player, sprint, smother, R1, which is pretty cool. Mark, so like I said, the marking, there is a timing element to it, the devs were saying, but they did say that when playing on easy, you could pretty much spam it and hope for the best, which is what I was doing. Advanced attack control. So these are the things I probably didn't try, to be honest. Or the raise hands I did do, because we saw that in the video. I was able to raise my hands and handball it. Dummy sell candy I tried but wasn't successful with, so I don't know whether I was under too much pressure or what it is. Agree, Captain. Button mashing for the win. So these are the ones I think would have been good to do in the clutches of a forward 50 ball up. The snap for goal, so circle and L2, dribble or torpedo. But I just didn't do it because I was panicking. So clearance kick, there you go. X plus L2, stab pass, L2 plus X, torpedo, X plus L2, L1. Clearance handball, I didn't use that, but I assume they just polyfarmers it and belch the shit out of the ball. And a bounce pass, interesting too. I think we have had that previously, but interesting to see how that works and if many people would use it. Kim Jong, welcome. Why didn't I use them? Largely because I was trying to still get my head around the basic controls to try and get fluent gameplay. Probably a couple of things. I was mindful, one, that I was filming what I was playing, so I was trying to make it look as good as possible. And the first game I played, I didn't even read the sheet. I just picked up the control and started playing. So that was a bad mistake, but I didn't think I was going to play that quickly, to be honest. And then the second game I played, I had a better understanding, but I was holding a phone charger in one hand and I couldn't use half the control. But the last game was quite good. So to answer your question, it was 100% a skill issue on me. And it wasn't just me. The other people I was playing against were having the same issue. You know, it's like when you play a game the first time and you go, nah, I'm not going to read the manual. I'm just going to pick it up and play. You know what that feels like. That's exactly what it was for us. Because there was a line waiting to play, I didn't want to waste too much time reading the buttons. I know that sounds stupid because it would have actually helped. But to make the most of the time I had to play, I just thought I'll just pick it up and start pressing buttons and see how we go. No worries, don't argue. Catch you later. See you on Big Footy 100%. Thank you for dropping in. No, thank you, Kim. Yeah, I was frustrated playing with the one hand. Like the camera was wobbling. And the problem was the extension cord I had for my battery pack into the phone is like that big. I really should have thought that through and got a longer one. So that was a bit of a rookie mistake. Brady, so the version everyone was playing was early build? Yes, 100%. From what we can ascertain based on some bits today that come out from Ross, that putting 2 and 2 together, this was about a 4 or 5 month old demo kit, is what we're assuming to be based on the fact. And I'll explain why. So Ross released today the stats that they're going by in the current version of the game. So not what I played, but their current version, which they have been using since October 2022. And obviously we know that the stats that I was playing with last night weren't what they had. So based on that logic, I was using something, well, we were all using something prior to October when they had that stat listed in play. So that's 4 or 5 months. So that's the logic behind it. And that coupled with the fact that I had someone else in the gaming industry from Big Footy advised that when this kind of stuff happens, you've got, your mainstream game that you're presenting and getting sent off for approvals. And then you've got your demo kit that would have been built ages ago to be bare bones, playable, but not with the bells and whistles. Is Specky an auto animation or is there a button for it? In this version, Kev, the Specky wasn't in play. It wasn't in the game. But they did say it is being tweaked slightly and put into the main one. But just sort of to your point a little bit, it's interesting that it's not, there's nothing really here to say what that is. So that's interesting. I'll run some gameplay again.
Got to get that second timing bar spot on.
Yeah, and so Brody, so so 6 months old, but keep in mind as well, and I think some people maybe forget this, that they've been building this for like 2 years. So it's not like they've just popped up the last 9 months and chucked this together and they're rushing to the finish line. Like, okay, there might be an element of rushing and last minute stuff like there is with every game, and there's deadlines and shit like that. But they've been putting a lot into this for quite a long time. And yeah, there just comes a point in time where they've got to have a dev kit created or a demo kit created for these kind of things, and that gets made and that gets put to one side until you need to use it, but you keep carrying on with the build of the game. So you can't just drop in the new shit you make and put it into the dev kit, because it will crumble. So it does, and that's what makes me excited though, Brody, is the fact that how well I thought this played and how it ran. If it's in fact 4 or 5 months old, whatever it might be, that it gets me excited for what that finished product will look like and how it will play. So I'm really interested to see how it handles and how much different it is. So we've got a set shot here from Dusty with his slick and sexy as haircut. I held the button down for far too long for that. I held X down for probably as long as I possibly could, because I was trying to get it deep inside 50, and I sprayed it, which is fair enough. I think that's been pretty consistent across most AFL games. So in terms of, I will say though, in terms of like the quickness of the bar, for see it, Tommy Lynch on camera there, that set shots, when you have the second bar, the timing meter, that's one. Oh, did I have it with Dusty? I'll say. So that bar. So you got to. I know that's just covered it slightly, but so this is the timing. You've got to try and get that little line to sit inside the blue bit for your timing of the kick. As it gets to this point, it does speed up rapidly, and if you mistime it, if you get it all the way to the end, you'll completely muff the kick, and the kick will actually wobble, so it'll actually change how the ball flies through the air. And at this range, you'd probably kick a point, but if you're further out, I had one go out in the full, one go through for a point, and one fell short to the top of the goal square, and Tom Lynch marked it. So it's not the same outcome every time. I think there's a few things in play where it depends how far you are, the angle. So it always felt different, which was good. It wasn't predictable. Yeah, it is, Brody. A few people did question the Richmond scoreboard on the videos I posted. Being there, looking at the screen playing, I could read that clearly. It was fine. But 100% on the angle it's on and the fact that it's filming from a phone to a screen, it does diminish the visibility of it. But they may have even changed that for the main one. I'm not too sure, but it definitely, like, you can just make it out there 2:14. It is clearer in real life, but it'd be interesting to know if they do change them, or if there's options to change it. I'm not sure. No worries, Robbo. Thanks for dropping by, mate. Much appreciated. No, all good. Happy to provide any info and stuff where I can. So enjoy your night. Enjoy your night. Yeah, I don't mind this scoreboard. It didn't feel in the way or anything like that. I didn't. I'm not sure. I suppose there'd be like, what's an alternative? Oh, Kano. Oh, you're an absolute gentleman, Kano. Gifting 5 subs. Thank you very much, mate. You're a legend. Absolute legend, Kane. Love your work, buddy. OG Pink Panther all the way. Now, I appreciate everyone's love and support. And then you got, the generosity of someone like Kane. You're a superstar, buddy. Yeah, I agree. Seems to be minimal on the screen. Yep. Yeah, Bood has put out some serious AFL content in recent times, so does good work as well, pushing the good vibes on the AFL23. So I did see a question earlier. I will scroll back up. Bear with me. Boot game looks unreal. Yeah, I did notice that, Boot, last night, even when playing, the kick-in's going 50, 60 metres. This will sound really bizarre, but I don't actually recall taking a kick out myself. I don't know whether teams just kick goals against me or I was just a great defender. No, I wasn't. But I have noticed that when rewatching it, it's going 60, 70 meters. So I'm not sure whether people are holding the torque button or what the go is, but I did notice that. I did notice that. Yeah, that's it, Boo. We're just trying to pump up a good community for the game. And that's the thing, like, and it's not just Boo and I. Twisty's out there as well. He done the amazing video today. Actually, I don't know how many new people are here or not, but if there's anyone here who hasn't seen or know yet, Ultimate Teams is going to be in the game in some capacity. If you want, I can play Twisty's video that he posted with the interview with Ross, confirming without saying all the details. If anyone's new and hasn't seen that, let us know, and I'll play that again for you so you can have a listen. Morse, there 100% was commentary in the build. I just didn't listen to it, and a lot of others didn't because it was on the headphones, and I was probably more interested in talking to the devs and asking questions while playing and hearing their thoughts than the commentary. Whether that was right or wrong, I'm a little bit unsure, but I know some of the players had the headphones on. Some people put it on, but a lot of people were there in pairs or groups, so they were wanting to talk to their mates and stuff like that. So I didn't really hear any of the in-game sound, to be honest. MCG, yes, last night, Brody, the MCG was the only ground we played at. As I said earlier, there was a part of the night where you could see on the screen it had stadiums, and it had main stadiums, so like MCG, Marvel, Optus, etc. And then next to that there was another tab called All Stadiums, which we didn't have access to, but I dare say was for all your sort of State League and Sandful, Waffle, etc. Oh, did he, Brady? That's awesome. Well, make sure everyone gets around Twisty's videos as well, because he was able to, talk to Ross, which I'm very, very jealous of, but he's a far greater content creator than I am, so it makes sense. But if he's got interviews with Ross about career coming out, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a good question, Morse, about the commentary. Unfortunately, I can't really give you much insight there because I didn't listen. Honestly, the only thing I want from the commentary, given that Kelly Underwood is in it, if they don't have the orange team, I'll be really disappointed. That you've got to have a sense of occasion there. Goals on the run I thought were good. I didn't feel like there was much variation there. Like, I was able to sort of run through and kick the goal, and it didn't feel like... I think the main thing that would have impacted it would have been if I was holding down the kick button for too long. But clean pick up, I don't think I overkicked it, but it seemed to go in. Is there anything else anyone wants to see? Any type of gameplay, or if you want to watch Twisty's video, if you want me to go through Ross's stats, anything like that? It's just hard to gauge how many new people are here versus people who have been here from the start. What's everyone's thoughts on these little cutscenes at the quarter-time break and everything, going to the coaches with the coaching board and stuff like that? Bit of a new addition. Very minor detail, isn't it? But I think it's a nice touch. Oh, the trailer. Sorry, Spargo. You did mention that before. Sorry. Luke, I don't know what the options are in terms of how the commentary works. But yeah, she's in the game. I just want the Holy Grail as well. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's not a... Like, this doesn't make or break the game, if you know what I mean, but it's a really cool attention to detail touch. So... Alright, I'll get to the trailer. You don't need to see my ugly mug. I think 3 minutes until... 3 minutes. Oh, of course I skipped past it. What a dickhead. Here we go. I'll go back 10 seconds so you can... Here you go. There's the trailer. G'day, Bang. Welcome. Yeah, very excited. Do you want the volume up, or... Pretty cool trailer. Oh, I liked it. I liked they had a bit of everything in there. Want to see AI Clarkson punch a plasterboard? That would be good, Captain. Doctor, graphics looking really nice. What we're seeing, how does it look on monitor during gameplay? My phone on the screen doesn't do it justice. The graphics, seeing them in person, are very good. Easily, and I have no problems in saying this, easily the best we've seen on an AFL game. And that comes naturally over time as well, yeah. So that's not a slight at anyone else. But you've got to remember the time difference between their first game and now is a long time, and even the Wicked Witch versions. So technology naturally progresses, and they've been able to implement what they already use into this game plus some. And I think they even said at one point that, in ages ago, even if they just implemented the technology they use now for their existing games that they've just made without any additions to it, it would still have been the best graphically that we would have had. That's how far it's come. Retro Guernseys are awesome. Is there a My Career? TTV, welcome. I think I saw you posting last night too, so I appreciate that. I don't know the definitive answer to that. There's been a lot of mixed things. There's definitely a career mode. There's like a team management kind of mode. But someone mentioned before that Twisty's had an interview with Ross, which will be up soon, hopefully, that does go into that. So what I will say, though, is Ross did mention today that the modes that we saw on our screens were not all the modes in the game. So there is more to the game mode-wise than what we could see, which I'm kind of feeling like there might be, but I don't know the definitive answer on that one just yet. Is Pro Career confirmed, is it? Yeah, I can pop the Twisties one on.
Is it floating because I'm not...
Yeah, the coin toss. What did you guys think of the coin toss? I thought that was a neat little feature. Interesting that it's got the Queen's head on, not the King.
Yeah, and definitely on your timing account. Yeah, okay.
Big Ant already has the code. Yeah. So there's a trophy as well for anyone who's just joining. If you kick a goal under 30 seconds, I reckon it is, you get a trophy. All right, I will pause this. I'll pop Twisty's video on just for anyone who is new to the stream. Welcome. Don't forget, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, drop a follow. And also make sure you go across and give Twisty a follow as well. And Bood, for that matter, as well, who was in here before. You know, we're all trying to pump out the AFL content, but Twisty got an absolute ripper interview with Ross about Ultimate Team. And, it pretty much confirms without...
Ultimate Team in AFL23. Is it happening? I have the inside scoop, and forgive me my voice, I've just come back from the AFL23 launch. It was a long night, and I'm editing really late. This is like 2 a.m. by the time I'm recording this. So got a little snippet here with Ross the Boss as to whether or not Ultimate Team is coming in AFL23 and when it might be coming.
This game is as real as it gets. We captured all of the AFL players, all of the AFL players, and something you won't see in some of the documents that we got out of the feature list. We're currently working with the AFL to work out...
Maybe I should have as well, Captain. I had an orange juice. I forgot to eat as well. I was starving when I left.
Earlier tonight, you were saying you're working with AFL and AFLPA on potentially getting in previous players, legends.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going?
Well,
where's your thought process there, Ross? I mean, there's an obvious thing that people are thinking about and going,
there's a G rating, right?
Yeah.
And on that G rating, it says course language.
Yes, and there's another thing on there.
Well, and the course language happened because they misheard bullocking.
Yes, which is what Hutto said.
Bollocking.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So that's the course language. And then the other rider is the microtransaction.
Yes.
So if you think about legends, and you think about current players, and you think about them playing together, and you think about microtransactions, it leads you to the obvious conclusion.
So with an unspoken answer there as to where that's going, is that something that will be around the launch of the game, or is it not in terms of past players and everything, but in terms of the current day players? And
it's very, very likely that we want legends before we launch it.
Right, okay.
So we may be talking a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we launch it.
Okay.
Because I want legends.
Yeah.
You know, and you might have seen people...
And it's obviously a licensing nightmare to get all the players in because they'll all want different money and things like that.
What it is they want to know that the money is going for the good of the players.
Yeah.
And that's why we're working with the Players Association. Because working with the Players Association, we can ensure that past players are actually getting the benefit.
Yeah.
And it's obviously topical that we look after past players.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in strife and need help.
So if you didn't catch
There you go. So I'm going to drop the link of the video in the chat as well because, Twisty's done all the hard work here in getting that video put together. So please make sure you go across and give the video a like and a share, subscribe, do all those kind of things and help him out. Not that he's got 85k subs, he's doing pretty well for himself, obviously, but just make sure you get behind the people who create the content as well. So head over to that link below, give Twisties a like and a subscribe, tell him the Pink Panda sent you. Nothing will happen, it's just say it. Yeah, so that was pretty good. You can't be any more definitive without saying it than that Ultimate Teams will be in there, and I'm bloody excited for it. So I know the team, and it's going to be interesting to see how much access they get to the legends. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, but I feel like I heard or read somewhere that when we're sort of talking about comparing it, and I don't like doing this, so I'm going against my own word here, but NBA and FIFA, that apparently their licensing is kind of a bit more overarching and does capture past players, so it's probably a bit easier for them to pull this together quickly, whereas obviously you could see Ross has to kind of get that all organised separately outside of the current players that are under contract with the AFL. So it's it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, but yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. I haven't seen the Cricket 22 version, but I'm hoping it's PAX as well. No, I reckon there's a bit of work to do, Bood, with the Legends, I think. I reckon there's a bit more to it. I think they're harder to get because from what I can gather, a lot of their agreements is individual. Like, it's not overarching. So it's not like you can't go to just and get one agreement for all of the Legends, I think, because they've all got their own managers, their own this, that, and the other. I think it's a little bit trickier than that. But they seem confident enough to get it in. TTV Keg, agree. I don't understand why people are shit canning it. People are just looking for shit to complain about, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't get it. I'm cool with everyone having an opinion, but be real about it. Don't try and be a troll or a hero and just shit can it for no reason. I don't understand. The favourite thing so far, graphical and gameplay wise, Teal Deal. My favourite thing gameplay wise, I reckon, is the ability to, when you're tackled to the ground, that you can still get a cheeky kick or a handball out that helps the game flow. So it kind of helps reduce that tackle fest that we're probably used to. And there was still lots of tackles, don't get me wrong. But when you can time that little handball, even if it goes out 5 meters, it kind of gives you another option and another method to keep the ball moving. So it's not just a ball up after ball up. That's probably my favourite part. Dane Swan. Oh, you can get the Rat Pack back together. You'll be able to create them, Brody. They also mentioned they're going to do updates. Yep, 100% TTV. So Big Ant are very good at doing updates and patches, so they're very proactive in this space. They're balls deep into this game, so they're not going to leave us hanging. So they will keep things coming and keep it fresh, I've got no doubt. Brody, spot on. I've said that as well. You've got to realise we're not working on a FIFA and 2K budget. Okay, that's interesting, Lucid. The NBA is the same. They've got to do it individually. What a nightmare that would be to track all that down. Jesus. Some players, quite possibly, Boot, and they could be right, because some players might not agree to it. There might be money arguments. There could be a whole range of things that might mean some legends don't make it, but I would be shocked if they didn't, though. Like, on the podcast I do, right, it's a Richmond-based one, but I interview past players semi-reasonably, and they're always, like, rapt to talk about themselves, and not about themselves, but to reminisce about their time as a player and things like that. And this is something similar for them to be able to, be brought back to life as such in a gaming sense. I can't see why you wouldn't want to do it. How's Robbo? I support Richmond. Favorite thing from the cutscene, graphic scene so far. My favorite thing, I think, it's a minor thing, but I really enjoyed the cutting to the coaches board and things like that at quarter time and half time. It's a very small thing, but it's new. Like, the banner and the running out's all fairly, much of a muchness. The coin toss was kind of cool. But yeah, I liked the interaction with the coaches at that level. I thought that was kind of neat. Oh, Brody, I've said that for a while. I would love to have a scenario mode, like 2 minutes left on the clock and you've got to score 2 goals to win. And me just hypothesizing, that could be something they do that ties into an Ultimate Team thing to unlock packs. Similar, FIFA do something similar, but that would be awesome. Mitch Robinson, I'm sure all of you know, he's a mad gamer, so he has a Twitch as well. I'm probably disappointed in myself that I didn't get the balls up to talk to the players, but every time I go to things like this, I'm kind of the view of I want to let them have their time as well. Like, they're probably sick of talking to people and going through stuff, but at the same time, I also acknowledge that when they do these events, it's probably expected of them to talk about it if they're asked. So it's probably just me being a bit of a bitch and didn't do it. Like Richmond support, as I said before, Nathan Broad and Tom Lynch were standing on a table behind me for 10 minutes having a drink of water before it all started, and I wanted to go over and just chat to them, but I didn't want to be a dick either. So yeah, the coin toss is cool. Yeah, singing the song after the game. Has that been in games before? I can't remember. I'm not too sure. Classic matches, yeah, that'd be cool as well. Sorry, I think you asked earlier, or someone asked earlier how I got there. So I, do a podcast and do obviously streaming as well, and I messaged Ross to see if I could get him onto the podcast to talk about not only the footy game, but Big Ant as a whole and where it's been and where it's going and things like that. And he just sort of extended an invite for there. So I was very, very lucky and fortunate to go, and I'm very, very thankful to Big Ant and Ross for inviting me, and for JNT Big Ant, who the Big Footy Forum people will know that username. He's an absolute superstar. He gave me so much of his time and was answering questions, helped set up the camera and everything. He's an absolute legend. So I'm sure he'll watch this at some stage, so thank you. It was fun. It was a very intimate... There was a lot of players there. There was Draper, Cody Waitman, there was Viney, heaps of players. It was, more than I was expecting, to be honest. More than I was expecting. If not already available for pre-order, will AFL23 come out on the PlayStation Store on day of release? I don't think they know the answer to that yet. There's still a few hurdles to get through for digital copies to get into store. So they've got a few boxes to tick, but I think, that's obviously going to be the aim because that's going to help maximize sales, and it makes sense, but they've just got to get a few things ticked off with the PS Store and Steam and things like that. Robbo said gameplay needs work, but graphics are great. Yeah, I think, Kev, that's a fair enough call, but when you sort of then realise that we're playing a 4 to 5 month old dev console, the gameplay piece for me then feels okay. It felt okay anyway, but he's not wrong with what he said. Mr. Juicy, welcome to the chat. Thank you. Personally think it's better that they don't have a budget like FIFA because they are showing they actually care about the game. It's not all about the money. That's a very good call. I think, I'm sure most of you know this already, but Big Ant are very involved in football already. So I'm pretty sure Ross, and whether it's his family or a group of friends or whatever it might be, but I think they sponsor Carlton in some capacity and in AFLW. So Ross is heavily involved in footy, and their whole team is all into it. So, and what I love about them is the fact that they've, made the effort. So ever since their first game, they were on all the footy forums, asking people for feedback, getting ideas, implementing ideas that regular people like us gave to them in games and giving credit, so that they are genuine about it and they are, all about getting everyone's feedback and ideas and thoughts and take it all on board. So it's a really good interaction to have, and it's something that you don't really see very often. So it's very special and appreciative. It's not every day you get access to devs like that on a board level. I know I saw that comment come through Teal about the duck button. I'm not funny, but I couldn't say it. Did any of the devs Big Ant stuff play at all, showcasing at its best? In the last game I played, I'll go back to it. In the last game I played, which was this Richmond Collingwood one, I was playing as Richmond, obviously, and there was a dev playing as Collingwood. But the dev sensed the occasion and probably went easy on me and let me get a little bit of the ball. So, which was appreciated because he probably could have quite easily shit all over me and blew me into oblivion. But no, I agree that it would be good to see gameplay of two devs playing each other because they can showcase it better than we can. And that's the thing, like, some people have criticised the gameplay based on the footage that I put out. But I kind of take a little bit of responsibility for that because my gameplay wasn't as good as it could have been. So that definitely impacts the overall view of it. No, I didn't watch the game. I watched the first quarter bang of Geelong Carlton, and I thought that Carlton might have been a chance after our draw last week, and they went all right. No worries, Boot. Have a good one, mate. No, you too, buddy. You keep up the good work. We'll just keep fighting the good fight. And no doubt we'll see more of each other's stuff as the weeks get on. Yeah, the set shots are good, Keegs. The set shots are good. Like I said earlier, the two-pronged process for set shots I'm really enjoying. I think it adds a little bit of a different element. I appreciate the follows, Smear. Thank you for all the follows and the love and support, guys. Much appreciated. Just glad you're enjoying the content, and it's kind of cool just to talk footy and the footy game to, you know, regular footy punters like me. So it's good. Once Geelong get their backline back. Yeah, Tom Stewart out is a big out. So, ironically, usually on a Thursday night or probably a Wednesday night, whenever the days before the first game of the rounds, I will be getting into the habit of doing a weekly stream, just talking about the upcoming games, looking at the teams, and I've got like random spin wheels to do a $1 multi to pick the winners, but obviously this took precedence talking about the game. And for anyone interested as well, I will be doing a AFL quiz in a week or so time with a Sharon to give away as a prize, a free footy. 35 question quiz. So if you love your footy and you love a bit of a quiz, keep an eye out for that as well on my socials. It'll just be a bit of a quiz night, bit of fun. The other thing that happened in one of the games that maybe people didn't notice is I had a shot for, I can't remember which game it was, otherwise I'd skip to it. But I had a shot for goal and it fell like a metre short of the line, and the ball had finished rolling and just sat there. And the opposition player was running at the ball, but their momentum took them over the line. And I actually got paid a free kick for deliberate rush behind, which is pretty cool. Because technically it was right because I was nowhere near them for pressure. But it was just interesting that it got paid. Will there be different camera angles when we play? Absolutely. Yes, there will be. We only had access to this one. I don't know how many camera angles there will be. But the devs were saying that was probably one of the hardest things to do in the game because there's so many different options and they all have their own personal preference, and it's not like they've got a universal one they all think's the best. It's all personal preference. So what I'm hoping there is, it's hard because you want this almost pulled back a bit more, but then you're probably compromising the graphics or the work they put into the graphics. But when you're attacking, sometimes it felt like kicking inside 50 was a little bit blind. And you didn't really know where your full forward was. So if there was a way to be able to sort of see that part in particular, that would be handy. That would be good. What's the first thing I'll be doing once I get the game? What will I play? Good question. I am probably a sucker for online, I think. This is on the assumption that Ultimate Team won't be in on release. I would probably most inclined to see what the online piece does, because I'm keen to learn more about that. It'd be interesting to see how many people are playing too, but aside from that, I'll probably do the training bit as well, just to get used to the controls, and I highly recommend people to do, if there's any form of training thing, do it. It's just worth learning the controls, but yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for online play personally. What's everyone else going to do? When you all get your copy, what's the first thing you want to play? Keen to hear everyone's thoughts. End-to-end was, yeah, I don't know, Doctor, I'm not sure. I'm not a massive fan of end-to-end, but that's just a personal thing. Some people love it, especially on like 2K and FIFA. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they've got camera angle-wise. Keen to see. Start a career mode captain, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. State leagues in the comp. And that's the thing, Kev. I think that's what a lot of people have been sort of asking or alluding to, that I'm pretty sure there might have been Wicked Witch's version, that you started out in like at the Stingrays or Calder Cannons, whatever you want, a TAC Cup side, and work your way up. And I reckon that's a really cool feature, and I think that's one of the main features that everyone's kind of screaming for. And maybe that's what's going to be sort of spoken about on Twisty's video. I would love for that to be in the game. I don't know if it will be or not. I would love it to be there though. TTV, the ruck taps on that. The one thing I noticed, and it might be the point you made there, was whichever ruckman won the tap, the other ruckman didn't really jump. They just kind of stood there. I think that is more to do with it being a dev kit with not all the animations and actions in. I would be shocked if that was how the game played, like with both ruckmen not competing. It doesn't make sense. Like, except here, they both compete. But like around the ground ball ups, I know what you mean. The other one stood still. I would be shocked if that wasn't fixed. It just feels like that, it's just a part of the demo, and it'll be one of those things in the final copy, I hope. Andy wants to play the grand final and give Sydney a 100-point smashing. Win Fremantle their first premiership for Morse. Mr. Juicy, I know the academy stuff was all cross-play, but isn't the actual multiplayer cross-play? Yeah, multiplayer from everything I've read, Mr. Juicy, multiplayer is cross-play, which is good, awesome even, because even for me, when deciding what to get the game on, because I've got PS5 and PC, I would personally lean towards PC for streaming purposes, so I don't have to use a capture card, because that kind of messes with all the audio. Like, I can't hear alerts and things like that, which annoys me. And I will probably do that if it means I can cross-play with my mates who are on PlayStation. But if it's not cross-play compatible, which I'm pretty sure it is, but I would do it on PS5. I know. I honestly don't understand how games these days can't not be cross-platform. It just seems so obvious. When the AFL released those ratings a few days ago, there was a ground ball rating. Doctor, to be honest, it's something I can't say I noticed, but it's not to say it wasn't there, because I did, in the stats page, I did sort of see it had its own, obviously, field as well. It obviously will mean something at some point to help gameplay, but I was probably too button mashy to actually notice it, if I'm being honest. That's probably more of a me issue. Wouldn't mind some missed tackles. There was some tackles that were broken. I probably wasn't able to fend too many tackles off, but I'm not sure how much of that was built into this dev mode versus the real mode, or whether it was the players I was using or not. But then there's an argument to be had, Andy, that in some other games that there was too many tackles stepped through and broken. So it's probably hard to find that balance, I guess, isn't it? I think the game will be worth getting, from what I've seen so far. And end of the day, I know what we all want it to become, and it's a pretty good starting point, because I'm kind of viewing this as... Oh, there you go, this is that deliberate rush behind. I'm kind of viewing this as a clean slate, or a brand new start, just because of the duration with how long it's all been. And if we want this game to improve year on year, we've got to get behind it. So I think it's worth purchasing. Lockie Jones, to be honest, I didn't even know Lockie Jones was. And I mean, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just I obviously pay more attention to my own team than other teams. But I mean, if it's based off champion data, and I know we've all probably got gripes with champion data and some of the stuff that comes out. I know I have over the years, but I mean, if they're going off GPS data and things like that, it's kind of hard to refute in some ways, isn't it? What did you think of it? Who would you have had up there? No worries, Bang. Enjoy your night. All good. Great to meet you as well. Feel free to drop back in any time, so much appreciated. Just happy I can bring some kind of content, answer questions, and help everyone understand it all a bit more. But players using their correct preferred foot for the most part. Yep, from what I could tell, Doctor, they were. So, again, I'll mainly speak from a Richmond perspective because that's who I follow. But like Noah Cumberland, took a few marks with him inside 50 and he was using his left foot, which is correct. Tom Lynch on his right. Harry Mackay on his left when I was using Carlton. So yeah, g'day Sock, how are you mates? How is Sunny Valley? So yes, they were using that. No, this version, in my opinion, is further advanced than what was there in Grand Final week. And I say that because the the version we saw in Grand Final week didn't have a sponsor logo on the ball, and this is a very minute thing as to my reason, but I work at Sharon, so I noticed it. It didn't have the Macca's logo on the ball, but this version of the game does. So at some point in time, the game has progressed from that set state of play to now. So there was a difference. Yeah, I would have thought Sard or Charlie Kane would have been fastest, but yeah, if they're going off GPS data, it's hard to refute. No worries, Bangy. I play on PS5 usually, or PC. If it's crossplay, which I believe it is for online, I will most likely get PC, as long as I can play with the sock puppet and anyone else who wants to play online, just because it'll mean I don't have to use a capture card. But otherwise, PS5 is my go-to. What do you play it on? It's not an interesting point, Kev, about... yeah, add me on PSN, absolutely. All good. Now you take care, have a good night. Thanks for dropping by, appreciate it. The hacker point, Kev, is an interesting one. Like, it feels like it's one of those things that's inevitable for every game, sadly. I don't know why people feel the need to do it. But yeah, it's... How would people cheat this? Someone will find a way and do something stupid, I suppose. Yeah, exactly right, TTV. It's interesting. Like, I'm sure they've got more tricks up their sleeve, but, you know, as we saw from that video before with Ross on Twisty's channel, that even if they're playing, you know, if we've only got career and player career and things like that for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and if we're getting Ultimate Team a month later, that's pretty cool to then revitalise it and get it going again, and I'm sure there'll be more constant updates, so... Yeah, I'll verse you, Teal. No, I'm happy to play anyone. So even on stream, I'm always big with playing with followers and viewers and whatever. So yeah, happy to do things like that. It's all a good bit of fun. So better than just watching me play stuff. Why not play against people? Nah, Sock. I have disabled all the chat points at the moment. I mean, you know some of the things that are in there, and I was mindful about it looking somewhat semi-professional last night and tonight, in case, you know, Big Ant or people at the AFL watch it for feedback or anything like that, because I know that Big Ant do it. I'll flick them all back on tomorrow night. I'll play a game or something in the next couple of days and I'll flick them all back on. I know a few people were desperate to spend 800 points on a certain sound alert. No worries, Bang, you have a good one, mate. Thanks to everyone as well for the follows, and Kano as well for the sub before, mate. The gifted sub's much appreciated, so... If you are enjoying it, make sure you do drop a follow. Any support's appreciated. We're all AFL nuffies, all for the same common goal. Brody going to the footy on Saturday for the first time this year. What game are you going to? How good's that? Does the sweet spot... Oh, you want to play Snoop Dogg? Does the sweet spot when kicking for goal become smaller the more difficult the kick is? Good question. I didn't probably notice, or wasn't looking out for it, Andy. So, from what I could understand, the power then kind of correlates to the timing of the kick afterwards. So I'm not sure if the timing bar gets smaller if you're on a tighter angle, because you can kick drop punts or a snapshot or whatever. But yeah, if you don't time it well enough, you'll completely duff the kick. But I didn't really it's a good question. I didn't actually take close notice of that. I'll try and take note when I play the game when it comes out. That's a good point. Pies vs Port. Very good. Whereabouts are you sitting, Brody? That should be a good game, actually. Only game you're good at. Yeah, see, Doctor, it's funny. I play a lot of different games, so I'm kind of, I suppose, what you would class a variety streamer, which has its pros and cons. It means you end up being okay or good at a lot of games, but not great at any. But I just enjoy playing whatever I'm enjoying at the time. So yeah, happy to play whoever. Jesus, what's going on, Sock? What happened? What did I say that pricked your ears? I'm sure I'll get slapped for something here. 2,825 hours on Evolution 2. And around 6,000 hours. Jesus. That's awesome. Did you... I'm pretty sure... Was there, like, global rankings on that? The real deal? Did you feature on any high ranks? Oh, Shane Warnstand. Very nice. It'll be a good game, that one. Oh, the Min. He's back. How are you, Minnie? Welcome, mate. You're a hard worker. It's kind of like the hours we put into the division sock. Or well, more so you than me. But exhausting, yeah. No, you're doing a good job, Min. Thank you. I know I messaged you, and I said it again last night, but I do want to say thank you again to you and Grock for your work last night, modding the stream. Much appreciated. Has anyone else got any questions? I'll probably wrap up in 5 or 10 minutes because it's getting close to bedtime. But if anyone else wants to see anything in particular, let me know. I can go through like the stat menus again. I'll be happy just watching gameplay and asking questions, whatever you want. So I'm here to be used. Sounds awful, doesn't it? Yeah, that's true, Doctor. The handball chains were cool. I felt you could do it here. Maybe it wasn't as fluent in this version, but I'm hoping it's something that does come into the game. Because you're right, it makes the game cool. Like from a ruck tab, I was trying to feed handballs out to the running players, and it worked sometimes, didn't work others. And I know what you mean though. It makes it flow well. Did the gameplay give you the feeling that you could actually play a certain way, like if you want to just kick it around or go fast with handballs? Tackling. It did at times. I felt like there was a point in one of the Carlton game I played where the guy controlling St Kilda had a missed kick across the defensive 50, and I picked up the ball and I knew I had players out the other side for a switch kick. So I was able to switch it out wide and then get 2 kicks down the ground and hit an open target up forward, and then had a runner go past a handball over the top for an open goal. So things like that were kind of cool, that you could, like, if you're watching footy and you see a kick like that happen and you can see players in space, that's where you would go. So you could still do that. I think you can chip it around. Like I was able to hit maybe 2 or 3 kicks and work it down the field by the way to do it. So when it's a shot on goal, but when you mark it around the ground, your next player will have a ring around it, and you can change who that player is, who that circle goes on, and that's who you're going to kick it to. So they might run into space towards the boundary or to the centre, whatever it might be. So that's how you're going to chip it around. So it can be done. I just don't know if you can have control over who runs where. No, I'll turn them on tomorrow, Min. Can't have dicks being played. Got some exciting news. Oh, who's the father-son prospect, Min? Please, Bill.
That was a deliberate pass.
Yeah, good call on the radar. Surely it is in there.
There you go. There's a goal from that man over there.
Yeah, I would be shocked if there's no hard radar. It'll, like most games, I'm tipping it's going to be optional. It'll be optional. Oh, that Teal Deal rates himself. Now, hey, if you've played that many hours, I've got absolutely zero doubt that you are very good at this game. Happy to play. I've played against many followers and been smashed, like in Rocket League, FIFA. Happy to have a dick made of myself. If it means we can see some elite gameplay from someone else. Sock. Oh, yeah. Yep. I'll answer that. Inside mid. Oh, I'm keen to keep an eye on that one, Min. Sock, the ultimate team. So it is going to be in. It's as official as it can be without Ross absolutely saying yes, but he pretty much said it without saying it. I think I sent you the link to the video, but your Bali Wi-Fi may not watch it. But yeah, so they're just waiting on trying to get all the legend players pieced together. So they're working with the AFL-PA. So once they get that piece in, so they won't launch, or Ross doesn't want to launch it until he has all the legends in place as well. So he doesn't want to just half-ass it and go with the current crop of players. He wants to get the whole thing. So they're just working with the AFL-PA on getting all that bit over the line, and then they will release it. So it might be 2 or 3 weeks after launch, maybe 4. But yeah, they're wanting to get it fully right before doing it.
I think we can get this to at least 420.
No, all good, real deal, all good. No, I appreciate it. Appreciate the love and support. So, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be in the position to be able to provide the content for everyone, and I know I'd love someone to do the same if it was the other way around. So, we're all looking forward to it. But no, I'm just doing what I can. Just trying to help out. You're elite in FIFA. 700 skill rating. Top 1%. Jesus. Very good. Looks like players almost stop, come to a standstill as soon as they take possession of the ball. Cheers for the follow, Mr. Juicy. There was a little bit of that, Doctor, that some of the players did seem stagnant or were standing in weird spots, but I firmly believe that it's because of the stage of that dev kit being 4 or 5 months old, whatever, approximately, based on what we know. I just feel like that not all the animations and all the code and all the everything was sort of fed into it. It was just a very bare bones gameplay, so I feel like that's going to look and feel different in the real game. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it will be. Brody, I agree. The Guernseys, that actually really took me by surprise how many they had. I did not expect to have a home, away, and alternate. And to be honest, I'm not massive into that being in games. Like, I don't care one way or another. But to see all the retros and the historical stuff was pretty cool. And it sounds like there's more to come on that front too. Oh yeah, socks loaded. Yeah, no stress. Till deal. Yeah, tell me that. Yeah, I'm always. All my socials are open for communication on any level. Oh, sock puppet. I had people tell me before that the stream name made it into a Fox Footy article, which someone did send.
Can all players do the fend off and the dummies, or is that stat based on individual stat scales? Every player can do
Aye, Captain sent it. Maybe I'll bring that up. Does anyone care if I bring that up? Bit of a self-plug. I want to see what it says. General. There we go. Champion data. Updating performance. Sorry, I'm reading and not talking. Did I miss it? Oh. I can't see where it says it. It was there before, now gone. Oh, really? They take me off? Oh, damn it. That's a bit shit. Need someone to take a screenshot. Yeah, you're already taking the credit away. Jeez. Oh, well. That's annoying. Anyway, thanks for sending it through, though. They edit every 4 minutes. Yeah, I know. Alright, I'm probably going to jump off because it's getting awfully hot out here in the garage. And I've got to get to bed because I've got to work tomorrow. But, I'll turn them back on for the next stream. But no, thank you so much to everyone for dropping by. Hopefully I answered as many questions as possible and you got something out of it. Appreciate all the follows and the support. Kano, thank you for the gifted sub, mates. Much appreciated. You're an absolute superstar. And just thanks to everyone for dropping by and talking footy. So I know that sounds cliche, but we're all footy nuffies and it's good to have a game to look forward to. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a footy AFL quiz in a week or two with a Sharon being the prize. So if you love your football and fancy yourself with quiz, make sure you keep an eye on my socials and TikTok or whatever for that. 35 questions. It should be a good bit of fun. I need a Sharon emote. That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, you owe me some questions. So yeah, we'll get on to that. But otherwise, you finished the questions. Okay, that's good. But otherwise, hope everyone has a great night. Thank you again for tuning in. Appreciate the love and support. Enjoy all your footy this weekend. Hopefully your team wins, unless you're Adelaide. Hopefully you lose. And I hope you all have a good night. And again, thanks for the support and the follows. And I'll be sure to be streaming this game as soon as I get it. But if you're into any other variety type of games, feel free to check out any of our other streams. We play anything from Fall Guys to Fortnite to Rust, FIFA at one point, just the whole works. So anything and everything. So if you're up for a chat and happy to talk about gaming, then always feel free to stop by. Up the Crows, get off it, Sock. Jeez, you're top of the ladder and you're coming at me with the Crow stuff. My goodness. Want to get banned, Chef? Oh, Jesus. Oh, the Sock. All good. What did he write? Oh, the Adelaide thing. Yeah, well played. All right, guys, have a good night. Speak soon and enjoy.